defense team particularly entering the defense now? How ready are you guys?
Well, you see, lawyers are trained to be ready for any eventuality. But the justice of the matter is another case altogether. I choose not to comment on that.
So, wait, we have to comment. Sorry, sir. I'm one of the members of the legal team. This is a public document brought in by the medical council through the prosecution. So they serve us this thing today. And if you watch there, in this particular medical report, you can see all the ailments they say that Nnamdi Kanu is suffering from. And surprisingly, somebody that has all these particular issues, you now, in the last paragraph, to say that from your own distance, you can stand trial. Somebody that is passing through all these ailments. Having said that, too, go to make a consequential order. Say, please, go and examine him and report back to me. They never examine Nnamdi Kanu, only for them to come up with this report. Nigerian Medical Council, they should be very careful, because this is a professional body and we are expected to act professionally. Yes. In your report, you are expected, I'm not a medical doctor, but I'm a practicing lawyer. You are expected to show that on this particular day, you obtain his specimen. We carried out this lab, and the lab showed this. We are talking about somebody's life, for goodness sake. You cannot just enter into your office room and you open your system and start writing trash. And you want court to rely on it. And surprisingly, we are expected to take a date for us to go. And because when the court gave us an opportunity to respond, we are ought to have taken a date to confer from our clients. Yes, it was when Nnamdi Kanu said, what? We are the people that even gave Nnamdi Kanu this thing. When the court was about to sit, we are talking about somebody's life. Of course, as a matter of this thing, the Igbos are on trial. This is a war against the Igbos. Of course, you are here when the president ordered the police and the army to go and negotiate and have a discussion with the terrorists and the non-bandits in this town.
With their arms.
And somebody that is exercising his rights as given to him by the constitution, both local and international legislations, and you say that he should enter trial. Trial for what? What is it trial? What are you trying for? Do you have even jurisdiction? Does the court have jurisdiction to entertain this particular matter? Somebody that has been discharged by court of appeal. So we don't want to go into that. This is a trial again. These Igbos are on trial. This is a persecution, not a prosecution. And I stand by it. And I'm calling the entire Nigerians. It's the Igbos and the Nnamdi Kanu today. It can be another person tomorrow, and we should stand against it. That's why we are protesting. Why should we be treating a human being like this? Simply because the offense Nnamdi Kanu committed is because he's an Igbo man. Can you do it somebody from the north? Can you do it somebody from the west? You cannot. People have been agitating. Mbah has been going around agitating for Republic of Oduduwa. Have you arrested him? The answer is no. Because Nnamdi Kanu is an Igbo, and he feels that nobody can speak with him for him. And we are saying no to that. We can never be intimidated. Nobody is more Nigerian than anybody. Nobody is a second-class citizen in this country, and we are going to fight it. I'm begging judiciary not allow yourself to be used. They know what they are doing. Are you telling me that it was on the 13th? Court gave you 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, you now produce the document on the 13th. And you kept it with you. You do not allow us to go and see our client with it, only for you to serve us 5 minutes before court is sitting. And you ask us to respond. Is this injustice or injustice, for goodness sake? We should call evil. And when you call evil, it will stop existing. That is our submission.
When there was no evaluation, you come up with.
I wanted the press conference to start now. If you can join me at the press conference. Just wait a few seconds. Let me a few minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a press conference called on the eve of Free Nnamdi Kanu protest slated for tomorrow at the Aso Rock Villa. We are here to let people know that this action is going on as planned across the world, as a matter of fact, but the center of gravity will be Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, where Mr. Nnamdi Kanu is currently unlawfully and unjustly detained by the director of the State Security Services, known as DSS. The law is very clear. Mr. Nnamdi Kanu's detention is not just illegal, it's a national disgrace. The government is disobeying its own court and mocking the Nigerian constitution, the 1999 constitution that they subscribe to. Here is the truth, and what they don't want you to know is that the Court of Appeal cleared Mr. Kanu in 2022, and the charge acquitted him. That's the final. Yet the DSS, even upon this discharge and acquittal, never released him even for a second, in disobedience of the Court of Appeal position. It was pure contempt, and it has always been their tradition to defy the rule of law that they claim they subscribe to. The Supreme Court, of course, did take over the case erroneously. They overstepped. It is a twisted justice reversing a decision that has already been taken by a court of competent jurisdiction, like the Court of Appeal, on this particular matter. But even at that, the Supreme Court did say that Mr. Kanu never violated his bail condition. It was the Nigerian army that caused the confusion. And you know that double jeopardy is also a crime. Nobody under the law should be tried for an offense for which they will be discharged and acquitted. It's known as double jeopardy. I may not be a lawyer, but I know this well enough. So also, let us let you know that the law under which Mr. Kanu is being tried is known as the Terrorism Act of 2013, which is dead and buried. You cannot try anybody under a law that does not exist. So we want to let you know that this fight is bigger than one person. It's about every Nigerian right to justice, dignity, and freedom. And when the state tramples on one man's rights, it endangers all of us. Our demand, therefore, is very clear. Obey the law, enforce the acquittal, release Mr. Nnamdi Kanu now. So tomorrow we will be out there, and we want to also clarify that there is no court order issued against the protests. Of course, the police, in their anxiety and desperation, went to a Federal High Court judge on Friday and asked them to stop us from visiting certain areas. In fact, they initially wanted to ask the judge to stop, but the judge vehemently denied that he cannot ask the Nigerian not to protest, exercise their fundamental human rights. So they granted a limited order, and the judge, in his number 3 order, said they must serve the defendants. They must serve the defendants by Friday. We have not been served. I only got to hear about the order through another person, and the order has lapsed because, as an ex parte order, service is the only thing that can activate an ex parte order. That has not been served. So we are going to head tomorrow, and we will march peacefully, powerfully, and legally on the streets of Abuja. And anywhere you might be, our own position is that this must be completely peaceful protest. And we hope that at the end of the protest, common sense will prevail and will bring Mr. Nnamdi Kanu home. Thank you very much for coming. If you have any questions, please ask so that we can continue.
What do you think about this Nnamdi Kanu's trial?
Very good question. First, I think that the whole trial has been mismanaged. The federal government mismanaged this trial. First, several decisions about his fundamental rights were overlooked. His rendition from Kenya violates human rights. It might be argued, nobody is saying Nnamdi Kanu is above the law, but he shouldn't be beneath the law. He should have the guarantee of full complement of human rights. The trial has lasted for too long, about 4 years or more. The trial ought to be quick. Look at the trial of even terrorists across the world. Quick. Done with it, and justice is seen to be done. Secondly, there are many terrorists, confirmed terrorists in the north of this country, who are sitting with state government crafting deals around amnesty. Now, Sondoboho's case, people saw how it went. So the sense remains that somehow Nnamdi Kanu is a victim, not of the rule of law now, but a victim of politics. because he comes from a particular zone. And so this is the problem. The case has been mismanaged to the point that it becomes a gross violation of his human rights. Two options for government at this point would be to grant him bail and fast-track free, fair trial, or release him through another prosecute. The authority has the power to do this. And this is also a furtherance of political justice. If Nnamdi Kanu was tried fairly at the beginning and the trial ended, no problem. But too long, detained, and everybody else is out, and the issues about his health not being handled transparently, creates a more serious political crisis for this government and continues to sustain the notion that beyond justice, there's something else in this. I think that Attorney General should act quick and get him out on bail or end this trial. The outcome of this trial is not as positive as it would be negative. And really, by this point, criminal justice has been compromised. So even if he gets a conviction, it does not serve criminal justice anymore. And if he gets a conviction in these circumstances, it might actually lead to a perception of gross injustice and targeted injustice against him because of political calculations. So I think it's better to grant him bail, let him go and take care of his health, and stand trial. He's not a flight risk anymore.
All right, welcome to the show, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Rudolf Okonkwo. Our guest, Dr. Sam Amadi, will be with us shortly. We're trying to tidy up some loose ends at his end, but he's around. He will join us so that we can have a conversation on the state of the nation. We're going to talk about the case of Nnamdi Kanu, the situation with the protest. We're going to talk about election in Anambra State and what's going on with the political parties. We have governors joining APC, the PDP governors all moving to APC. And that led to this video that came out yesterday of the governor of Imo State talking about Nigeria being a one-party country.
And nothing can beat this. Let me tell you, the truth is that there is only one political party in Nigeria. And the name of that political party is All Progressive Congress. Have you not seen on the television? If you go to the National Assembly every day, you see senators and House of Reps people leaving their parties and joining APC. You go on your left side, you see governors leaving their parties and joining APC. It is not born out of nothing. It is the conviction that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has performed. It's a testament to the fact that Nigeria is now working again. So let us celebrate for being part of this national history, for seeing this thing happen at our time. So that APC will not only be congratulated for providing leadership, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will not only be commended for providing leadership and for recovering Nigeria, reconstructing Nigeria, and rehabilitating Nigeria. But must be remembered in a history as a man who came, saw, and succeeded. So we are here to fraternize with you, our brothers and sisters, and to tell you that we are with you, and that your leaders are doing well.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much. Our guest is about to join us, but before then, I have in the studio Mr. James. Mr. James, welcome again. You're always the first to remind me that I have a show. How are you doing? How are you doing?
Yes, I think I'm all right.
So our guest is actually, I don't know, he once, I think he ran, so he was a candidate, or was he aspirant to be governor of Imo State. So he still has that dream, but he's also a public intellectual, and he's the director of the
Abuja School.
Abuja School of Thoughts. Yeah. So for someone like that, and there are many people like that in Nigeria who have gone to school abroad, who have worked in international positions, and they come back to Nigeria, they want to contribute, but the Nigerian factor becomes an issue. Do you have any insight into that challenge of how do you take the knowledge, like you now, you've been in the Gambia, you have knowledge that you take it back home to impact your country, but you don't have that opportunity.
Well, if you use me as an example, I think it will not be an appropriate example because the experiences I'm acquiring here in the Gambia cannot be implemented do not fit into the Nigerian system of doing things. Every society is unique. The way they play their politics here is very different from the way we play ours in Nigeria. I know how to get along with the people, but when I go back to Nigeria with the present ideas I'm having, I'll be a total misfit. I need to recalibrate my, should I say, my thought patterns to suit how Nigerians look at things. For example, to contest election in any part of the world, you must, to some extent, be dubious. Let me put it that way. The degree of dishonesty in Gambian politics is in no way comparable with that of Nigeria. There are no cases of snatching of ballot boxes. It has never happened since 1965 in this country. The way you see, their system is radically different. They don't use ballot papers. They use some tokens, which they put into a box, or it's around there.
No, not yet. Go ahead. No, it's not. Yeah.
Yes, they use some tokens, which they put into a box, and when you slot it, it will. A bell will ring. That shows that you voted once, something like that. Compared to our system, we might look at it as crude, but this is foolproof here in the Gambia. So there's no way I can play politics in Nigeria because another problem is the tribal nature of Nigeria. There are some traces of tribalism here too, but it's not as serious as it is in Nigeria. Their voting patterns is not along tribal lines as such. It's not along tribal lines. It's possible for a Madinkan to gather votes from a Wolof area or a Jola man winning in a Fulani-dominated area. So there's no way, absolutely no way I can practice politics in Nigeria. It's not possible. Maybe that is what is disturbing them when they come from the Western world to contest elections in Nigeria. The way you people in America, for example, your voting system in America is computerized. Let me put it that way. The very first attempt we made to computerize our voting system in Nigeria, they said there was a glitch. Electricity supply in America is guaranteed. In Nigeria, it is not. There are a lot of sharply contrasting differences. So, it's only Nigerians who grew up in Nigeria, who are enlightened, who will be able to play politics well in Nigeria. If they are well-meaning, they'll be able to fix the Nigerian problem. I do not see how a Nigerian in the diaspora will go back to Nigeria with diasporan ideas to fix the Nigerian problem. It's not possible. Anyway, that is my own perspective.
All right. Thank you, Mr. James. Let's see. Tony, welcome. All right.
Good afternoon, Dr. Damages. Good afternoon. Good evening.
Tony, we don't have time now. I'm sorry. Our guest is here.
Okay.
Yeah. But we'll come back to all of you. Let's begin the show and come back to everybody later on. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, James, for always being there, ready to help out. And I will get you. All right. So let's introduce our guest, who is here with us and begin the show. All right. Hello, welcome. In Madagascar this week, the military took power after weeks of Gen Z protests against bad governance, unemployment, and lack of opportunities. In Nigeria, the defense headquarters has denied that there was an attempt by some military officers to plan a coup, reacting to a news report that 16 officers were arrested for planning a coup. The military called the story fake. It is 8:30 p.m. in Madagascar, 6:30 p.m. in Nigeria, 1:30 p.m. in New York City. Wherever in the world you are joining us, welcome to another episode of 90 Minutes Africa. My name is Rudolf Okonkwo. My co-host, Chido Onoma, is on assignment. On our show today, we will discuss what to expect tomorrow after a high court restricted where protesters, led by Omoyole Sowore, can go in Abuja as part of their campaign to free Nnamdi Kanu. We will talk about the response of Southeastern leaders and intellectuals to this call. Plus, we will explore other major political flashpoints, the upcoming election in Anambra State, the Governor Mbah's defection to the APC, and Rufai's explosive interview with Works Minister Engineer David Umahi. We examine what they reveal about the state of Nigeria's media and democracy. Our guest today is Dr. Sam Amadi. Dr. Amadi is a renowned public intellectual, lawyer, and policy expert. He is the director of the Abuja School of Thoughts and a former chairman of the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission. A respected voice on governance, democracy, and public policy, Dr. Amadi has lectured and written extensively on constitutionalism and political reform, including nation building. His thought leadership continues to shape conversations around Nigeria's democratic development and the future of good governance in Africa. Please join me as we welcome to the show Dr. Sam Amadi. Dr. Amadi, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you so much for being here, and a lot of people have been looking forward to having you again. And
sorry, I apologize for coming late. Yeah.
No, it's okay. We understand. We understand. So let's start from Abuja, where you are. I believe you're in Abuja. How is the atmosphere in Abuja today? Are people? What's going to happen tomorrow?
I think Abuja is normal, as a Sunday in Abuja should be actually. And also warm, and Sunday evening, some traffic here and there, meetings. I just rushed from a village meeting myself. So Abuja is, as it is, a bit of gay but calm and sombre, basically. And, maybe gardens will be busy, chatter going on in gardens. Before, for the more public open places, I think Abuja, no significant change from the usual Abuja evening, yeah.
You mean there are no military movement, no police, nothing?
Not in any significant sense. I've just been driving through from church to home to office. I don't see any serious, yeah.
So is the protest going to happen tomorrow? What do you know?
I don't know much. I think protests organized by Sowore, or which Sowore and this group have always happen, one way or another. How it's going to happen may be the question, but I think the protests will happen depending on two factors. The police restrictions, how extensive it will be, and then how early they can get out, and then maybe it could be symbolic, maybe it could be more than that. So for now, I just want to believe it will happen, and in what degree, whether it will be significant enough, whether it will entail marching through streets or just staying somewhere with placards. I don't know, but I think it will take place.
Okay, I played a video of a press conference that Shore gave a few hours ago. In that conference, he said that there was no restriction, that what the police did was not legal, that they went behind the back and got a judgment, something from a court. What do you think of the whole thing?
Well, if a court issues an order, I mean, it's as legal as it can be. It's not unusual, even in the US, that people go and get preemptive injunctions, to stop or to even stop government from undertaking action. So maybe what they did is the normal thing they do, they go behind ex parte, that's called behind, and the judge would assess the, in Nigerian legal balance, is the balance of right to say, well, if we don't intervene and wait until Shore is put on notice for a hearing date, what loss will happen? Vis-a-vis if we intervene to stop the proposed action. So end of the day, the law is that the court would, if there is real likelihood that some actions that could be irreversible could happen, maybe the court can exercise discretion to stop the proposed action and usually ask the parties to come to a closed date to see if they really. So, but as a practice, the Nigerian courts have been, in many cases, willing to issue injunctions, even when the balance of justice, what they call the balance of justice, perhaps does not justify or stipulate injunction. Again, it's discretionary. There are no, hard and fast rule. Judges' assessment of risks differ from judge to judge. So you expect that the court would most likely, grant such reliefs. But whether how Shore and the promoters of the protests interpret and the level of compliance, it's for them to assess. But again, it's not an illegal act for courts to issue ex parte orders that are injunctive in nature.
Do you think that this injunction means that political leaders in the Southeast, well, how would they react to that? Do they feel relieved that people will not say tomorrow, oh, they didn't show up? is that what it's going to be?
Well, because I also talked to some of the governors or some of the political leaders, how they put it. I think that they were never going to be part of a protest, so that's clear. Most Nigerian, even Alhaji Atiku, who by tweet kind of supported it, I would, except for symbolic purpose, I don't expect to see the politicians, Atiku, be all of them protesting. But the endorsement is significant. So what I think will happen is that the governors themselves, who are not going to be there, if it doesn't happen, then they'll be relieved to the extent that some people will say, oh, this is happening and it didn't comfort. But my view is that some of the governors, at least some of them, a few of them, notably perhaps Oti and Soludo, have at some point openly asked that Nnamdi Kanu be released. They have also, indicated that I've spoken to the president, maybe privately, to ask that exercise discretion to terminate the trial. Ohanes Ndibo, which one could describe as the apex Igbo political platform of those who are not elected, even though some of the elected people participate, have also been very, very clear. I mean, I think the chairman the president of Ohanes has also issued a video message. So, in a sense, it would be not correct to say perhaps Igbo political leaders have not shown commitment. But whether they are going to ride on this new wave of Showere's public action is a different thing. So they have all indicated, including myself, who have done a couple of videos to say this trial has now become a violation of rights in terms of the many violations and procedural errors and all that. So what the question then is, some people also are a little bit suspicious of the timing and the nature of this. Some people think perhaps this is a way of setting them up, because in the Nigerian culture, some level of politicians do not necessarily protest, unlike what we're seeing in the US now. in Nigeria, people at some level of political commitment.
Beyond.
Except, in the few cases in 2015 when Tinubu then protested, which is politically just the way you expect a high-ranking Democrat in the US to protest in this low king protest. But that's politically important. But this sort of protests, oftentimes they don't play key role. They don't participate.
What about public intellectuals like you? What are did you get a sense of what they thought about the protests or the need to do something like this?
My honest view would be that many of them, or a couple of them I know, have weighed in one way or the other, maybe not as forceful as some of us or as publicly, but they are weighed in on the fact that maybe, this is too far, this has gone too far. Again, the Nnamdi Kanu's persona, or Nnamdi Kanu's cause, is also a little bit divisive in the Southeast in terms of what now became of the IPOP struggle. So I issued, when I did that video, somebody called me and said, Sam, you have credibility, people respect your view. I wish you can come to Isekanese. I hope you can come to my village and see what has happened. So, Rudolf, the truth is that the Southeast has been a victim of the aggression against IPOP and the detention of Nnamdi Kanu, and also a victim of some people who are maybe generally perceived as Nnamdi Kanu's apostles and supporters. So there is a sense in which people are conflicted around to what extent should they be seen as, going beyond board to advocate. These are people who think that, just like, Nnamdi Kanu is even better because generally people don't associate him directly with some of the atrocities that has happened. But the case of Simon Ekpa, for example, you can see that Southeast people were very happy that he was detained. Many Southeast people openly say, thank God, get this guy, get rid of him. So you have to see the sentiment, and this is important. Take, for example, Sunday Igboho, who one could say is in the same business of ethnic agitation, asking for a referendum and exit for Yorubas in the same way that Nnamdi Kanu and some of the Igbo patriots have also been doing. But the difference is that Southwest was not turned into a battleground. The tragedy, maybe history and historians and analysts will think about what led to what, is that the ultimate devastation of this struggle is in the heartland, is the Southeast. So people are mourning and reeling from harm. People are agonizing of different things. So it is the long way of saying that many South, the level of identification of this campaign you expect from Southeast intellectuals publicly, you may not get it because there are many layers of strategic thinking around the social behavior of Southeasterners. For example, some people say, I've known a leading Igbo intellectual who has called me leader, one of the foremost leaders in Igbo land, and I asked my opinion and say what I think. Is there a setup? What's going on? So the Igbos are always nervous about national issues because everyone will talk about it. Now, if Peter, for example, says, when Peter says he shouldn't have been arrested, oh, that's the IPOP leader. That's the IPOP leader. So that the Nigerian thing of stigmatizing, blackmailing has created a moral conflict, perhaps amongst some Igbo intellectuals. That's the point.
I like where you went to. Let me ask you this, because sometimes we've been having conversation around this Nnamdi Kanu IPOB for years, and sometimes young people, disciples of Nnamdi Kanu, will come here and say, "It's the problem of you guys, you public intellectuals. You are not leading, so we have to follow anybody who is offering solutions." And recently they've come up to say that, why is it that people like you or people, intellectuals, are not leading a protest like this? Why should it take Shore for Igbo people to now look at what happened when he went to the markets? You saw that people wanted someone to lead them to say something should be. Why is it that no Igbo person decided to do that?
I think that's a good concern, and I think Sowore answers that question himself. Sowore, in one of the interviews, if I got him right, said that Nnamdi Kanu is something because he's an Igbo. Basically, Sowore said there's an Igbo problem. You see, some of us who have, to an extent, come out to lead on some of these Igbo questions, have been branded by our colleagues and say, oh, Sam has now become ethnic bigots. So, like I said before on one of your platform, I said, if I defend the right of people in Sokoto, I'm a nationalist. But if I say, why are you killing young youths in Enugu extrajudiciary? And then I become a tribalist. Oh, Sam was not like this. So, and that's not an excuse. I think there's an Igbo complex since the war, which has two dimensions. One is the fact that Nigeria keeps on blackmailing the Igbo people, Igbo leaders, keep on blackmailing them. I mean, just in a controversial one, let's take P2B, no matter how people think about it, it's probably the most prominent Igbo political face now. His politics has been extremely nationalistic. Compare even with Tinubu, for example, who head back as governor, stayed back, controlled the Yoruba land politics. So Tinubu, P2B has a better credential to claim to be a nationalist. Tinubu did not, even when he was in the primary, he didn't bother to come to the Southwest. But if he says something today about the Southwest, nobody will accuse him. And so we should not trivialize, and so Oreso said so, the fact of the Civil War. Both the Igbo and non-Igbo analysts trivialize what that means. Like my friend Udenta would say, that the Yorubas didn't fight the Civil War, Igbos did. So they don't carry that burden. The nation does not see Yorubas from the prison of a civil war. Okay, they may see them as competitive, quarrelsome, maybe not reliable. I mean, people can profile any ethnic group the way they like based on association with individuals. But they're not going to sit back and say the Yorubas wanted to exit Nigeria. So that history, that has to be, the demon has to be exorcised. It's part of our work as new Igbo intellectuals to go to break the chains and say, you know what, we don't give a damn. But when we do that, the cost is that your compatriots stigmatize you and say, oh, this is not the right Igbo. They select the right Igbo who is playing dead brain to Igbo crisis. So that's really why the Igbos are not leading that. It takes a Sowore, and like they say, it takes a Nixon to go to China. It takes a Sowore to be crude. It takes a Yoruba or a non-Igbo to do what Sowore is doing and not suffer any severe consequence for it in terms of, I'm not talking about arrest and detention, political consequence. In fact, he wins, it's a win for him, win-win, not a win-loss. Some Igbo guys will like him, but if an Igbo does that, he lose Yoruba supporters. He probably lose some Hausa people. They say, oh, this is a closeted IPOB. That's really the challenge. But that's not an excuse, but that's an explanation as to what you're saying.
One more question around this topic, then we'll move to other things. There were people who were feeling like they understand what you're saying now about the risk of being the Igbo person that would do what Sowore is doing. But they said that if Igbo people will come together, just think about this, all the governors, all the senators out of rep, and everybody in the market, if they come together and do this, that will tell the nation that this is important to all of them. And nobody will punish all of them at the same time. You know, but why didn't that happen?
Okay, now to put this way too, this crisis also creates a collective action problem for the Igbo people. Again, going back to history. So, when we went, Igbo leaders came out to the first Nnamdi Kanu released from prison. Soludo, all of us, Feda and Dago, we had a lot of Chukuma, and finally Soludo led the team and they got him out. You know, it takes two to tango on both ends. When Nnamdi Kanu came out, and there were several meetings back and forth, subjecting himself and his movement to a greater Igbo leadership didn't quite happen. So there is a crisis in Igbo land which has to be resolved, which is a crisis of leadership. And it's because we're diaspora people. I used to make this case. When Tinubu was in Lagos, Yinka could walk to Bordelon and have conversation with him. Another leader could come from Ajegule, come from the Yoruba's leadership are largely in Yoruba land. Tinubu didn't quite stay in Lagos, in Abuja until he became president. But today, if you go to Owerri, who are you going to see to have a conversation with that youth in Owerri? So if there's a crisis among young people and they're looking for a mentor, and that's what some of us have started going to the East, holding program. The diaspora effect impact is on leadership. Nobody on ground to people together. So yes, I agree. The young people, this crisis would have been avoided if the governors were focused and responsive to the concern of the young people. So the truth of the matter is that we don't have, Achebe says, the white man has put a knife on what holds us together, and we cannot talk to each other. True, the leadership crisis in Igbo land manifests also in the sense that there is no convergence of leadership, in the sense that we can all agree that, okay, fine, no matter what the facts of the matter is between federal government and Nnamdi Kanu, on this we stand. This is a common ground, and we all come, truly, if we all come together, there's no way the federal government can resist that. If all the governors and the pension rulers and the intellectuals say, the common Igbo position is X regarding this man, that happens. But part of the crisis is that the far corner had a far corner. Some people are rejoicing and say, if these guys come, would they listen? Now, no matter how much you cut it, when Soson Doboho, no matter all he's saying, there are backdoor channels. He listens to some leaders. So those people who accuse the leaders, I'm part of those who accuse the leaders. We should also accuse ourselves. If they call you to a meeting of Ohanese or Igbo leaders, and you see politicians, you start abusing them, go punish them. You can't have it. There must be elders in the room. And if you don't submit to those elders, we're not saying lick their boot up. No, we are critics. But at least I'm a critic. I attend a meeting of Igbo elders in Abuja here at the highest level and have strong views. Sometimes I lose the battle. Sometimes they agree with me. But you have to first believe. So if you are just ragtag army, and by the way, when the ECN thing came, I disagree with them. I said, no, don't create a private militia. It can't do that. You're going to destroy yourself. So the question is, people are saying, all this struggle, if we count the losses, we lost. We killed our people were killed by the military. So if you can't listen to that message and say, is there a better way? Then you want to railroad everybody to champion. They'll say no, because they're not even convinced that the release is a net plus. They're not even convinced. I mean, Sunday Boho, what damage did he do to Yoruba? Nothing. He's going there, fighting the federal government, claiming to fight for Yoruba land. But in his own territory, nobody came and said, this is what Oboha's group did against us. But if you do an inquest now, you see millions of people will file reports, whether true or false, as to how the group damaged them.
All right. There's somebody that I saw a post on your Facebook referring to what he said.
Sorry, if the light go off, I'll just put it back. So
okay.
Don't.
Okay. All right. We could take a break when that if it happens. Now, there's somebody called Igbo Ayaka. Is
Yes.
Ohanese Youth Council President, comrade. Who is he? And who is he? Do you know? I saw that you.
I know him. I know him very well. He's
okay.
one of the youths, yes.
Okay, so he said that Bola Tinubu may drag Nigeria into another civil war or violent revolution. What group is that? Who is he? You know, because part of the issue we have in England is that people come up and speak, and they are speaking for a group, you know, supposedly Ohanese Youth Council. Is that a real group?
Well, it has been a controversial issue since some groups say they are youth leaders, but Ohanese says, we don't recognize you. But they have been operating for long. So I know him very well. He's been a committed comrade. But these groups are running like franchise. He has ever been the
president. I start one in my bedroom now and issue statements.
Yes. So they meet, a couple of them.
All right. our guest, Dr. Sam Amadi, will join us again. Let him fix the power situation. In the meantime, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about bigger issues, the supposedly the coup that we had happened or not happened in Nigeria.
I'm coming. Let me put the lights.
Okay, no problem. I will take a break and then we'll come back to you. We talk about the upcoming election in Anambra State, and we are going to also talk about his state, where he's hoping to one day be the governor of Imo State. So stand by, be with us, and we'll give you the chance to weigh in and join us in this conversation with Dr. Sam Amadi. Thank you. right, welcome back, everybody. Thank you for staying with us. We have a long conversation, so many things to get to today. But Doc, are everything okay? Can you hear me, Dr. Amadi? All right, Dr. Amadi cannot hear me. Can you hear
hear
me?
you now.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, good. Thank you so much. Let's quickly get to other issues in the news. One is this story from Sahara Reporters 2 days ago about supposedly a coup, planned coup. People were arrested, soldiers were arrested. The Defense Department, Defense Headquarters, they came out and said, nothing happened. What do you know?
Nothing. I mean, really nothing, because it's a bit surprising that they said there was a coup, and they said nothing happened. I read it on Sahara, I read it in maybe secondary sources. But what I think, if I have to believe the report for the federal government, maybe they arrest. If my son asked me this question, say coup, I said, I don't know. Many people ask me the question. But I do know that the government does not talk about maybe if there are some military move, maybe people are arrested for, high-profile persons are arrested for maybe security-related issues. But whether it's a coup or not, you can't know. There's no way civilians know about coup except they have insider sources, or later events can confirm to us whether there are some, maybe planned or some in a security situation that the Nigerian military had to deal with. But if it's such, I guess it will be of a much more high level, high elevated nature than maybe normal misbehavior of rank and file. So whatever it is, we'll know, but it must be significant. But for now, we don't have any, apart from the news by Sahara Report and other news sources.
Mm-hmm. Now, you talk about transparency most places where you speak, and I want to bring it down to transparency again. And you can say that when it comes to national security, we don't reveal so many things. But what about the situation with Wale Edo, the Minister for Finance, where he was sick? The nation, we were not told that he was sick. There was a big meeting happening in Washington, D.C. that he will miss. And people started looking, and Sahara published a story that the man had a stroke and was flown abroad. The government said, no, he didn't. He wasn't sick. He's here in Abuja. And 2 days after, oh, okay, he's in London. What would you make of this kind of governance style? Because it didn't start today.
Well, I think it was George Orwell, I think, who says government is the art of telling people the truth. Maybe in the literal world, but in real life, especially in Nigeria and in this part of the world, government is the act of lying to the people regularly, even the things that have no security implication. The fact that a Minister of Finance is not well, even if it's seriously unwell, does not anywhere approach national security consideration. It shows the character of government. I mean, even if they're not going to disclose it, if it's revealed that he has become ill and flown to the country, it should be a matter of, yes, confirmation that, look, everybody can be sick. I saw him maybe a week or so before then. It wasn't like paralyzed. So if he was ill, it probably became ill. And so there's nothing scandalous that the Minister of Finance is unwell and therefore cannot act formal officially, and someone else has to, lead the delegation. So that's simple statement. Yes, we confirm that the minister is not feeling well. The minister is making an arrangement or has traveled out of the country for. He became unwell. We know that Nigeria has no medical facility that these big men will patronize. So there's no more shame. I think no political.
Hold on, Sam. What about the one that Abio built in his state? Is that not good enough?
Ababa didn't use it. so I have not seen it. I don't know. Maybe it's good, but the key point is that Ababa did not use it when he was reported sick, and of course not reported visited. People saw him in hospital, whether he was serious or minor. I don't know. But so he never used it. So nobody of note in government has got. The only government official who has used at that level was Shibanjo, who went to Lagos, where he had some minor or major surgery. So
he brought doctors from abroad.
Well, another of the, at least they did it in Nigeria. That's the point. But look, the point I make is that, the thing about transparency is that
It's wasteful lies that are useless. Today's world, stories will break. People, even in power, will break those stories. AIDS will break the story. So we see in Washington too, even when under Biden, when Minister of Defense was sick and had to have, even within the country, a surgery at some point, they picked it up and it became a scandal, and the government reacted. So my concern is not that he got sick, not that he traveled to the UK or wherever for medical treatment, is that they ought to say, this is the state of things. And when the newspaper break it, you confirm that's true. To say he's Nigerian, the 2 days you saw him in art shop, is it that he's irresponsible to leave his major work to go and attend to art shop? Make believe that was needless, in my view.
All right. This is a serious question that a lot of people we've been debating it here for weeks now. Do we have genocide, Christian genocide in Nigeria?
How do you define a genocide? Okay, so genocide takes two forms, planned, strategic killing of people of a particular race or ethnic identity or other identities because of the nature of the identity. So if you make an onslaught, and that's why people are saying, okay, maybe what's going on in Gaza is genocide or not. So the debate is around, is there a intention to wipe out, to kill Gazans because they're Gaza people? People have also extended genocide to deal with mass, displacement of people. So you can talk about social genocide, to wipe off the people, to displace them from their homeland, to erase their ethnic identity and rootings. What's happening in northern Nigeria, I would put this way, is a state-backed mass violence against northern Christians. So even if we don't want to tag genocide because of undertone, many people will be strong on genocide, some people will be strong. But let me, as an intellectual, try to say, even if you say that the Nigerian government itself is not intent on total wiping out of northern Christians, there is a containment doctrine, effort with the complicity of Nigerian state, historically, not just Tinubu Nigeria, historically, to allow, tolerate, and conceal mass violence against northern Christians because of their identity, ethnic and religious. And this is interesting because in 2001, I guess, yes, I did a conference. There was a conference in the US on at the Holocaust Museum on what they call near genocides. And Biafra was one of it. And I did a paper I titled Ethnic Dissension, the making of the Biafran near genocide. It's published, it's still on the website of the Social Science Society Council of New York. It's a book. And I did a chapter. One of the things I said is, it might not be genocide because at the end of the day, Nigeria did not want Biafra to leave. I mean, it was a funny, ironical thing. They were killing Biafrans, but when they want to go, they don't go. Unlike Rwanda, when they want to chase them away. So Biafra, they didn't want to chase Biafra away, but it was a determination to contain, marginalize, and structurally, reduce, suppress the Biafrans. I said something about northern Christians because, and again, this is a second dimension, and it's in Senator Cruz's petition and proposed bill. People forget the issue of blasphemy and the fact that in 2000, in my view, constructively, the 12 northern states in Nigeria became Islamic republics by virtue of enacting criminal Sharia into law. One is the only person who have made this argument strongly, that the state cannot, by virtue of Section 10 of our Constitution and Section 39, you cannot legislate public law, Sharia as public law, as criminal law. And in 1957, by the way, historically, the Northern region organized a committee led by Professor Anderson of University of London, the leading expert on African law at University of London. And members included the chief imam of India, I think Pakistan. They were part of that team. And their charge was to look at how independent Nigeria, northern Nigeria, whether they should have Sharia law. That team of eminent scholars and Islamic jurisprudence recommended that Nigeria should not have a criminal Sharia. 1957. They should only have personal Sharia as a personal law, custody, marriage. In 1959, this is 57, 59 Constitutional Conference in London, this matter came up again. As we're entering into independent Nigeria, what should be the nature of state and religion, especially regarding Islam and Sharia? The confreries agreed that we should exclude criminal Sharia and allow personal Sharia. That became our constitutional, I call it the Nigerian constitutional bargain. The Nigerian state was erected on that bargain, that the average Muslim could have Sharia regulated private, just like a Christian, private life. But there will be no criminal Sharia. And that was why in Nigeria section 36 has a section that says that nobody shall be punished for a crime not written in law. Because Sharia was unwritten, just like customary law. In your village, maybe if you piss in a day near a farm, they can give you 10 strokes of cane by customary law. But anybody who does that, they can go to court. You can't, criminalize or punish anybody for little offense. That was Nigeria constitutional bargain until 2000. In 2000, something happened. Sharia was declared in Zamfara, became wildfire, and they now enacted a law, the Sharia criminal law system, the code, and that means they rewrote that constitutional bargain to now put in criminal. So the Nigerian states, Zamfara, Kaduna, but all the northern states, have, by their law, actually enacted Quran, Sharia, into the legal system. And they have become Islamic republics. They won't like this. Nobody likes to hear this. But that's the truth. That's the legal meaning. So when we look at genocide, whether Boko Haram is killing only Muslims and Christians, that's true. That may be true that, we don't know the proportion. But the point is that by legislating Sharia, these states have declared themselves Islamic republics. So Nigeria is now two republics. That's inconsistent. Two republics. The Federal Republic as a secular and the Islamic Republic together. And that's why you can go and kill somebody for blasphemy. And that's why a Muslim, the guy who's facing trial, who was killed, the woman who was killed in Niger, is apparently a Muslim woman for infringing. Because if you look at the constitutional section 39, what it suggests, or 38, is that every Nigerian can change their religion. But under Quran, under Sharia, you cannot change your religion. So Nigerian leadership is toying with inconsistency and contradiction. So I see more of the northern Christians becoming second-class citizens. So there is unequal citizenship. If your state can enact a criminal law, public law, on someone else's religion and not on your own. These are the dimensions that people are not bringing out. So yes, there is organized, the Nigerian state is guilty. And I've told northern Christians, I say, I'm ready to go to court for them. I don't want to talk about the contradictions they are suffering in terms of having, strong pushback against the Nigerian government. I think the northern Christians are victims of sustained historical violence by the Nigerian state. Whether you call it genocidal or some kind of ethnic cleansing, but there's no doubt in my mind there's a historic pattern of state-sanctioned, state-concealed, and state-authorized violence against them.
When you say state-sanctioned and authorized, people might be thinking the Nigerian state authorize a Boko Haram or whatever group to kill people.
No, that's what I mean. So what I mean by state authorized is very simple. Okay, fine. A young lady makes a comment, fair speech, really fair speech, not really seriously harmed anybody, on a WhatsApp group, and he's killed. And she's killed, stoned to death. And then the people who killed her are free. The Nigerian state did not prosecute it. That's state sanctioned. You see, they connive, and it comes from what I call the Nigeria's religious exceptionalism. Nobody mentions religion. People are afraid. Even what I'm saying now, few people can call it out this way. It's not because I'm saying because I'm totally convinced of the scholarship. This is part of my PhD. I understand this level of the land very well, and I don't care. But many people cannot, because the Nigerian state is a theocratic, neo-feudal state in orientation. Theocratic. It's a state that's catering to religion. And so we exempt from religious. So if somebody says a citizen has been killed, stoned to death, and the state does not prosecute those who did it, like in Sokoto or elsewhere, that is state-sanctioned violence against the people. But the state has a, that's the difference. So anybody can be a criminal. Boko Haram can kill people. I mean, in the south, people are killing people. Is that awesome? But when a state plays dead brain, knows the villains, in the case of Sokoto, of that lady, they posted a video bragging that Atiku Abubakar, otherwise courageous man, had to delete his post. It's not, people see Atiku is hypocritical. That's not the point. The point is that he was moving against an established idea. He knew that, in fact, many people come on Twitter, very high place, some of them are special advisors to people in government, to president, one of them, and they said, I support it. If anybody abuses Mohammed, kill him. That's the sanctioned violence. It's state sanctioned, because if not, the state will pick up those people and prosecute them. So Nigerian problem is centrally that the Nigerian state is constructed to appease religion. From 1806 to 1900, when the British came, to 1914, there's an appeasement. The Nigerian state is afraid of being a democratic secular state, not secular in the sense of fighting God. The state that is focused on citizenship and does not care, and therefore protects the citizens. So the northern Nigeria people have been victim most of this incoherence. And so yes, people say, oh, all Nigerians are victims of violence. I mean, wherever you live, we are all suffering. But the northern Christians, the middle belt people, are victims in a special way. It has a historical origin. It has a political character. It has a religion. And the only problem I see is I don't care about groups like Boko Haram or IPOB or Odua, whatever you say their groups are fighting. What I care is the state authority. The central thesis of a democratic state is that the state is autonomous from all the tendencies competing for dominance. So when a state is now infused with one religious or ethnic group, whether Igbos or Fulani or Christians or Muslim, it's no longer a democratic state in that proper sense.
Very interesting. Now, people will say, and I've had it on several platforms, where people will say, oh, they are killing Muslims too. Why should you say that it's genocide against Christians? What would you say to people who say that?
Well, in the same way, in Gaza, Hamas, when I hear, are killing Palestinians. But wouldn't you agree that Hamas has a policy of exterminating Jews? That's in their policy. They don't want Jews, but they can kill. So I don't know the circumstances in which, see, Boko Haram is a religious sect, but at the same time, it's a terror group. So terror escalates, and sometimes people are overtaken by the blood, by the blood they overshoot. Again, there's also element of criminality. So it becomes a business, a franchise. So people now also kill for all kinds of things, not necessarily in focus in advancing the original plan. Boko Haram's stated goal is Islamic Caliphate. That's what they said. So oftentimes people make it look like, oh, but that's what they are. They said that's what they are. And so they are part of what we now call Islamic terror groups. It does not mean that Muslims are terrorists. It simply means that this terror group, just like there could be a Christian terror group that says our job is to convert a physical kingdom of God by force. But they can kill Christians as well. In fact, many people who say, oh, maybe IPOB is a violent group, they argue they push and they cut back that, oh yes, they are killing. If they kill unknown government, for example, federal government, you know, and then they also kill Igbos, will you say they are not killing, unknown government is not killing Nigerian soldiers? So I'm not going to go into proportionality argument. My point is that I don't think this is a classical case of genocide, but I think this is a classical case of state concealed or state sanctioned or state tolerated, targeted violence, not just because of Boko Haram killing, because of several things. For example, the churches cannot get C of O or own any land in the north. There are churches, they're allowed, but they can't own anything. There are several structural ways that show that. And I said the heart of it is not that these people are bad people, is that we have not tackled the issue of what should be the relationship between Nigerian state and religion. It has been deferred over from 19, see the history I told you, from 57, 59, 1979, it came up again. Mbah and Alhaji Mbah had a big spat on this 79 constitution before we got into the 77, 78, before 79 election. And then 2000, we had this disruption that has now, in my intellectual thinking, created fractured Nigeria's legal order. And part of their consequence is what people are suffering with stoning to death, with blasphemy charges, with the case in the Supreme Court, where the lawyer for the state says, if you want to kill a man for supposed blasphemy, and they said, even if the court, they will kill him. They say, we'll kill him. This is what a lawyer, a senior lawyer says. Say, we'll kill him. Why? Because if you look at religious offenses, they are total, they are absolute. So if it's what they think religion says they should do. But that's why the British were even smarter. When they came in independence, they controlled all the customary laws. They put a law called repugnancy test. They said any custom that is repugnant to good conscience, natural justice, they disallow it. Because they knew that there are certain laws and customs that are incompatible with a civil state. You can't have people killed because of blasphemy in a civil state. In fact, only Iraq, I think, and Afghanistan, only two countries, Saudi Arabia and maybe Afghanistan, that has that rule. Nobody else. I was speaking with the former president of Indonesia, who was chief imam. And he told me that in 19, I think Indonesia became independent around 1960, 1959. They agreed, this is about 80 to 90% Muslim nation. They said they agreed to remove the public Sharia. Indonesia has no such rule. Indonesia doesn't have it. Malaysia doesn't have it. And these are perhaps the most populous, quote unquote, Muslim states. So why do you have it in Nigeria? That's the point.
All right. I want to play a video of one man you know very well. I think you are hoping that one day you will take over his position. He says something that is very important in the conversation we are having in Nigeria today. Let me play the video.
And nothing can beat this. Let me tell you, the truth is that there is only one political party in Nigeria. And the name of that political party is All Progressive Congress. Have you not seen on the television? If you go to the National Assembly every day, you see senators and House of Reps people leaving their parties and joining APC. If on your left side, you see governors leaving their parties and joining APC. It is not born out of nothing. it is the conviction that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has performed. It's a testament to the fact that Nigeria is now working again. So let us celebrate for being part of this national history, for seeing this thing happen at our time. So that APC will not only be congratulated for providing leadership, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will not only be commended for providing leadership and for recovering Nigeria, reconstructing Nigeria, and rehabilitating Nigeria. But it must be remembered in a history as a man who came, saw, and succeeded. So we are here to fraternize with you, our brothers and sisters, and to tell you that we are with you, and that your leaders are doing well.
All right, that was Governor, what's his name again? Hope Uzodinma. Hope Uzodinma of Imo State. Talking about the country being essentially one-party state, and he's proud of that, and it's because Tinubu has been doing well that everybody wants to be part of that. I saw an interview where you talked about APC being the only party that is, I think you described it, that is organized or in good shape or something. What do you imply that others are not, and who is responsible for that?
Good question. So many Nigerians read it out of context. My point is that APC is currently the most organized party, and for a good reason. They're in power, so they have space for they can share the goodies. So I've always argued that the smaller parties are the worst, whether it's Shawara Party or Labour Party, for one reason. The reason is that there are no rooms for win-win. So take an example, Abure. When PDP lost the election 2023, the first cash out was the national chairman. People say, oh, he resigned. Why? These are guys who have jobs they're doing. They have a room to operate. They can leave their job. Ganduje has left. If tomorrow Tinubu, for strategic reason, doesn't want this guy to continue, and they want to trade him off with Okonkwo, for example, or anybody, they'll call him on a meeting, they'll offer him something, and he'll gladly leave. So you will see APC have 100 cases in the court. But what will they give Abure or any of these guys to increase their position when they're waiting for primary, where they'll get 400 million, 200 million, at least leave? Because that's where we are today. The political economy of party organization means that the party in power will have seeming coherence and orderliness, and that's what APC is enjoying right now. If Wike is not, Tinubu didn't give Wike a good job, and is there to influential, will he have capacity to unravel PDP, to hold them to ransom? It's not going to work. So the advantage the APC is enjoying is that they hold all the aces. They can give Wike a job, and Wike can tie down PDP. They can, negotiate with the governor and say, you know what, I hope you know that INEC is one of our units. It's a caucus of our party. I hope you know. I hope you know that the police is a caucus in our party. And the governor, who has no traction, who has no history of fighting, who cave in. So, contrary to what Hope said, yes, it's not possible to have one party in Nigeria, and for good reason. The greed of the people in APC, the politicians themselves, during primary, we're going to see exits. And also exits will go and repopulate if Labour Party, if P2B is still a Labour Party, or PDP recovers and Peter or Jonathan, anybody is their flag bearer and there's prospects. If I go and take SDP, ABGA may even inherit a contract to Sosolu those wish, a presidential candidate, or a senatorial, or a governor's aspirant. So we're not going to get to a one-party state. They're going to suffer the consequence of their overbloatedness. They're going to suffer it. But what is clear is that the Nigerian political class has become cynical of democracy, and that's dangerous. They are totally cynical. They don't think around the people anymore, the votes and the voices of people. So they just say, you know what I lose to join APC? I have the president, I have the cover, EFCC, everybody's happy on the same bed. What I lose? They write me the result. What I lose? So think about it rationally. So why wouldn't I join if this election that Tinubu lost, in my view, in 2003, and they won because the INEC decided what they want, and the court is even the worst. They know that the court, there's no election on this earth the Nigerian court will denounce or cancel. One of the impossibles. You can actually bet and become a billionaire. You can bet everything you have that the Nigerian court will not cancel one, even if the CNN live feed of the ballot box torn, destroyed, and people stabbed, and their blood used to mix the ballot box and thrown into the sea. And they saw a parrot flying in with results from US live feed and dropping it, and someone written it. The Nigerian court will validate it. They will ask you, why didn't you stop that parrot? Show us that what you saw is is crazy. So in that circumstance, I hope it's not been very smart or very. It says nothing we don't know. It's true. There's one party for the cynical Nigerian politicians, but as perhaps a party where the angry, demobilize, brutalize Nigerian people I'm not sure, may go. And I think it's actually a good time in Nigerian politics, because Nigerian politics has been struggling to have a form and a nature. There are no conflicts. There are personal competitions. So maybe, and this is what Putin could be, and this is why I think the obedient people.
All right. I think he lost power again, and we expect that to happen more frequently. I think it was yesterday that someone, I think it was Ovia, that said we should probably have a demonstration or protest over power in Nigeria. Maybe that may be the next thing. But we will be right back with Dr. Sam Amadi, who is the director of Abuja School of Thoughts. I want to know how you get into the school, who is qualified to be in the school. I know they are mentoring some students, what they are going to do when they are done with their education, the School of Thoughts in Abuja. I also want him to talk about whether he's still going to attempt to replace Hope Uzodinma in the next election. So we will be right back with Dr. Sam Amadi. And of course, we will give you the chance to ask some questions. So prepare your best question. We may go over the allotted time today, but I'm sure that we will have an interesting conversation. I think he's back. Okay. All right.
So the point I'm making is that maybe we're going to have the Nigerian politics, like I said, have been gradually and steadily going into a rut where there are no clarity as issue, nothing to compete against, apart from raw power, raw greed, raw quest for power. I think Tinubu epitomizes that excellence. It is the highest expression of that cynicism about power, that real focus on power and nothing more. And so that's why he's successful now, to bring all these people together, because it's natural. It comes to him natural to say, you know what, the deal for power. It's natural. Tinubu is the most successful Nigerian power player, and that's what you're seeing now. So because he has no commitment, in my view, zero to any ideal more than power, it's easier for him to negotiate everything. And that's what I'm getting. So maybe it's a good time for some pushback. Let's see how it goes. But it has nothing to do with performance. Nothing. Otherwise, what concerns a governor with Tinubu performing at the federal level? So what concerns Delta State, that probably could win their governorship election. P2P won that handily. They won the governorship. There's no threat. Why should Diri, who is not running for election, want to decamp?
Are you surprised about Mbah?
Two reasons why I'm not surprised about Mbah, and that's the context of the statement I made. For two reasons. One, Mbah has little political gravitas. Mbah will struggle really to win a nomination. Not that he has not done some good job, infrastructure or thereabout. He's not in control of Enugu politics, even as governor. It's not. He almost lost the election. So he probably will be tempted with the idea that he has powerful enemies in APC, in hopes of them himself, actually, and that he doesn't know how the obedient move will come again. He struggled to not to be defeated. Let me not say he was rigged, but he was struggled not to be defeated. So I think he hasn't got. I forget the noise. They are turning nothing. They will struggle to win. Even it's not going to change the fact that P2B, if he's on the ticket, we win and win through. In such as that's not going to change it, except the results are written elsewhere. There's nothing, no campaign that will change the dynamics of 2027 election.
Now, analysts, they are looking at Anambra State, the upcoming election. Some people are saying that despite everything, that Soludo will win the election. What do you think?
I think they are closer to Soludo is more likely to win for two reasons in my view. One is that there's really no strong candidate this time around. And not in terms of their pedigree, whether they have certificate or not, but in terms of public imagination. Nobody has crawled into the public mind. I think, in my view, the Labour Party candidate is a good guy, decent, but I'm not sure he has worked himself into the people's imagination to unseat an incumbent who has not done terribly bad. I mean, we may have debate around whether he has done very well, I'm not sure, but has not done notably bad. Two, an incumbent that has a historical party that seems to be a compact between Anambra people and ABGA. All the ABGA have won since P2B. Even when Peter in PDP tried to unsettle us, ABGA has won. So you need a strong candidate to change those two dynamics. And then again, Soludo provides perhaps better clarity on zoning, which is also important for Anambra voters. If Ifeanyi was alive, I could bet that Ifeanyi could beat Soludo because he had real local presence, control. But Soludo was lucky that Ifeanyi was off, however, by shared fact of death. Ekunife is a very capable politician in my view, very strong and could govern very well. I mean, she has positive review of her tenure as legislator, but she's not at the top of the ticket. So I don't know whether that could flip anything. But yes, if I was betting, I would bet Soludo to retain that seat.
When you talk to people in Anambra State, Anambra people outside Anambra, they talk about kind of disappointment in Soludo, and they make reference to things like, the expectation that this public intellectual, this professor will provide this kind of governance, but what they see did not meet that expectation. You are a public intellectual, you are dreaming of being a governor. Do you think that will hurt you? I mean, in campaigning that Soludo failed, like the Akodo people. In fact, the fact that I saw where Soludo was defending what they were doing, and that is horrifying. What do you make of this sense of disappointment?
I think it has an impact on how people view intellectuals, rightly too. I agree with you. Myself, I'm disappointed, not just about performance as governor, expectation as a leader. I've not seen him leading in terms of that profile. This quarrel with P2B, I mean, you have a private quarrel, but a level of collective responsibility would shape how you behave. So I'm disappointed myself because I expected a lot more from him than he's delivering in terms of even shepherding the Southeast people together. But the point is that you have to look at pedigree and differences in terms of temperament, personality. I think maybe those who all know Soludo may not be too disappointed with his approach to some issues. Those who know him. So it's a question of character and individual temperament. I think that he has capacity to do better if he could be less opinionated, more respectful of diversity, and try to kind of, first, look at, by the way, Otu is an intellectual. If you made first class in economics or did very well and I've been a chief executive, I've been writing. I mean, without being a professor, teaching at university, he's an intellectual. He's extremely brilliant. But he has pivoted differently. The way he stacked his team. People who are smarter than him, people who are well established, and ability to listen to them, contrast with Anambra. So I think ultimately leadership is not about degree. Leadership is about personality and character, who you are, profile, and how you want to live, and the values you that define you, the values. Some people are maybe vengeful, some people are maybe very selfish, some people may be more selfless, more open, more collegial. So all these virtues and character profiles play more role than degrees and brain power in governance ultimately.
Okay. So one last question on Anambra and not Imo, Abia. So people are saying that obviously Soludo will leave Abga after his second term and join the National Party. And there's also saying that Oti might also leave and join another party. You know these people. What do you think? Do you think there are any commitment from not Soludo but Oti to Labour Party or a party that is not going to be a national party?
Oti is committed to Labour Party. He would love to retrieve his Labour Party. That's what I'm sure. To retrieve it and use it to run. And hope that after second term, then the prospect opens up. What do you want to do with your life?
All right. We'll be having this kind of problem until Obi leads a protest. People to go and say we won't take this anymore. That a country of 200 million people should be able to have power. Maybe on Sundays alone. I'll round up my questioning with my conversation with Dr. Amadi and then let you guys come in. There are so many questions, so many things we didn't get to yet, but I have to stop at some point. Let's take another break. When we come back, we will have him talk a little bit more about the work he does. When we bring a guest here, we ask them general questions. We also talk about the work they do. He has a school, Abuja School of Thought, which is a very important institution that is growing in Nigeria, trying to mentor young people in the area of governance and leadership and the public good, which is something that is lacking in the characters we have in political offices. So maybe the new generation that will take over will be able to understand what is expected. Because when you talk about something like conflict of interest, most Nigerian politicians, they have no idea what that is. And you see it in everything they do, how they talk and what they justify in public. So that will be when we come back with Dr. Sam Amadi. Thank you for staying.
Onye ọma zoro bio akwa nwa zoro bio Max ịbịa bunye gokwanụ m n'ofube n'azụ ụlaga n'ịbịa zugo mmanwụ ụlaga do n'ịbịa zugo akwa nwa ilochi yo biko rapụ zoro ka ọ nabazi ya. Onye ọma zoro biko
Abamba water the sorry. If you want to go Lagadori Piazzico, Lagadori Piazzico, Abamba Wilo Chino, Bigger Raffles, Mazi welcome up. Odoguna Quaresonanka. Onyomani Gadelemo. Mazi ni Piazzico. Ibu go with melody. Wait your for Odogu Nachala Noka Is he one them nigga delemo Olagadoni Pesigo Olagadoni Pesigo Amama Wilo Chilo Picorabuzo Anabaze Say
All right, welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for being with us. Let's round up this conversation from my end and then bring you guys in. So, Dr. Amadi, I want more question about. So you are saying that you are sure that Oti would like to.
Yeah, so he would like to stay back, and retrieve his party. But what happens after being governor depends on the stature of the party and what happens. Nigeria puts in a flux. But again, on the campaign, I don't think it's very. His situation is different. He's in charge. It's actually, if you go through Abba or Abia and talk about Oti among the people, it's likely 10. If there are 10 people, maybe 7 will say he's our man. You can't say the same about Mbah, with due respect. He's doing about issues, for example, many other people are worried about how he's dealing with insecurity, the herdsmen attack, so he's really has several areas of deficit and people attacking them. But truly, apart from P2B today, Oti is the most popular and liked, not just in Abia. In Imo, they love him. I'm sure even the US, people will love him. So I think he has not reason to fear too much about. He's really controlled. So worst case, even if he doesn't get his Labour Party, leadership, ultimately, he moves his Labour Party platform. He has made Abia strong Labour base, so he can move them to any small party and run and win. Now, what he negotiates afterwards, again, I think it also depends on what happens to P2B as well, because if the elections are going to be as the APC is planning to ride the momentum to combine presidential and governorship election together, it means that Oti will also perhaps like to be in a party with Mr. P2B at the same time. So several factors will play out towards the end of, run down to end of this year and early next year. But he's in a better position to hold back and say, I'm going nowhere.
Okay. Are you running for governor next election in
Yeah, I would. I've always offered myself to serve the people, but like I always say, the people decide whether they want to be served. Your job is to offer yourself, offer strongly. The people decide whether they want to be served and who should serve them. But definitely, I think that I have what it takes, the knowledge, the experience, and the commitment to change Imo. Ultimately, politics is the art of the possible. I will submit myself to the people again and hope that this time, not their fault, because oftentimes we blame the people, say, oh, they elect bad leaders. But the dynamics, people sometimes never get to. People have never get to make a choice between me and somebody. So one of the things I've said to myself is that I'm not prepared for primary. I'm not going to do any primary. And that's why I tell people that even me at my small level, how do you expect Peter to do primary? I'm not going to do any primary. There are 18 parties. So if I can't go. What's the point of primary? I was speaking with Telemoke. He said, "Oh, Peter." I said, "No. You know that primary is not in Nigeria. What is primary? Delegates come and they give them money. So it's nonsense." So I think that our politics is going through a transition that maybe we're going to see in the future adaptation of the democracy we know. So maybe some people communities will come and consensus and choose somebody and say, please, we're not interested in this election if we're doing. We just want Mbeke to go for us, Moyo to go for us. Because we have
They did that. They did that for Challenge Wamba for now. In most communities in Anambra State, they are now coming together and saying that this is the person we want to go.
Because because he didn't even win any primary. I mean, it was perhaps one of the good things that Obiano did. That he kept his promise and ensured that he became governor. I mean, as I knew those processes, there was no chance he could win the primary.
Okay, your governor of your state. During the campaign, he promised to give jobs to 5,000. That he would take 5,000 Imo people to Europe to give them jobs. And recently, he trained 10,000 Igbo. They graduated from his skill. Did you investigate all those claims? Were they people?
He promised 5,000 and delivered 10,000. So
no, those ones are local. The skill sets were for local people.
I think he has smartly known that the cost of foreign. Maybe Trump didn't allow the visa or whatever. You see, there's some laughable things really. But the point is that, and I don't think anybody wants to investigate what Trump is doing. We just wish we were that. The good thing about democracy is that it is moves so fast. And then we look back, and he himself will look back and saw the things he did and say, okay, I'm happy with this. So the people are long suffering. And nobody, I'm not taking it seriously. I don't know. I didn't even know when the train was going on. I just saw that 10,000 and I commented the post. I said, wow, this is unbelievable. 10,000, because I could imagine training of 10,000 people, skilling them will be a big deal. And but I didn't know about it. I saw the number, and somebody told me it's not even 10; it's about 20 or 40,000. So some people shut me down and say you are enemy of progress. You never say something good. So I'm not investigating. I don't have the facts. But if he did 10,000, but he promised 5, and did locally, I think it's a better use of public finance. Instead of taking 5, he gave 10 proper skill here in Nigeria. What can we say? That's good.
Your school of thoughts, Abuja School of Thoughts. You've been mentoring people in governance and public good. How does it work? How many have you been able to groom? Or mentor?
Well, we started. We were doing mostly bringing scholars and doing research and policy writings and advocacy. But recently we started doing fellowship. Which sometimes, people were saying, "Oh, one certificate." Some politicians said, "You want to pay? Which program do you do?" But the Abuja School is not designed that way. Abuja School our motto is beyond orthodoxy. So what we started with is this program designed around leadership, power, and governance. Now, the problem is that most of the leadership programs focus on leadership as value proposition, character, which is good, ethics, vision, mission, but they are not focusing on understanding the socio-economic insights around problems. So you can imagine a leader who means well, but doesn't understand the dynamics of the dimension of the problem and the policy issues to resolve this problem. So what Abuja School is saying, look, if you want to have our own Deng, Chinese Deng, Lee Kuan Yew, you want to have your own General Park, then the training should not just be about leadership values. It should also be about understanding the nature of the problems, the economic and social issues, ideas. Why is it that Asia developed, sustained high economic growth, and Africa did not? Why did import substitution policy fail in Africa and export orientation succeed in Asia? How did Malaysia and other countries succeed in agro-revolution and we didn't. So these hard knots is what the school is about. So the idea is to say, look, yesterday I taught a course on basic economic ideas and insights for policy. And people were surprised because they talk about efficiency, equity, access, subsidy, debate over it. What are the real issues involved in decisions around subsidy, removal or adding subsidy? What's the real issue around taxation? So what we are trying to say is that the new leadership in Africa will be people who have both those inspirational ideas about vision, mission, aspire, inspire, but also who have real knowledge around solving very tricky and wicked social problems. And so we take them in batches. This cohort, 20 people, draw from across. In fact, interestingly, some people apply for outside the country. And it's a hybrid. We train after this cohort, we expand to 50, and we're doing faculty across the world, really. And the focus is that we see social and technical knowledge as critical to solving the African problem. You see, oftentimes, the 3 guys who won the Nobel this year wanted for the notion that ideas matter, creative destruction, innovation. So the idea that we are in the African continent, we are doing a lot about politics, about power sharing, about winning election, and then maybe some American preachers will come and tell us about aspire to inspire, and you see people say they're doing leadership training, leadership expert coach. They're telling people all kinds of nonsense, euphorical things. But really, how do you grow the economy? How do you solve liquid wealth of poverty? How do you create social institutions that stabilize politics? I just read yesterday, last night, Emma Okpara's convocation lecture to UNN in 1962. Brilliant stuff. He is looking at development paradigm, how to create a developmental state. And he even talked about suspending politics for 16 years to create what you call united front government. Because he even have to contrast with the one-party state ideology. I said, our economic development requires what today we call elite consensus. That was Okpara, 34-year-old. But because he has read widely economics, political science, he was a medical doctor. So our notion, in fact, I proposed to OT a program called Emma Okpara Fellowship for Public Leadership for mid-civil servants. And the idea is, this reform cannot work if you don't have the technical capacity in the public service of Abia State to understand how to develop transformative policy. Those are skill sets that people have to have. So it's not enough to say aspire to inspire, visionary. Those are nonsense. It's not what made Asia develop. It's not what made America catch up with in England after the Industrial Revolution. Those technical insights is what Abuja School says. You have to know the problem enough to solve it. Yes, it's good to have ethical values. It's good to be visionary and make great speeches. But ultimately, the fate of the continent and the country lies in leaders who understand the problem, why it persists, and who find a way to reverse that part dependence and create transformation. And that's what Abuja School is trying to offer. So for me, if we fail in politics, we come back and grow leaders for the future, for the public sector. So we don't have to. If they don't vote for us, we continue in shaping tomorrow through our intellectual production.
Thank you so much, Sam. For public disclosure, I met you when you were at Harvard, and you've gone to do great things. And I read this recently from you. I didn't know this happened when you were at Harvard. You said you almost lost the chance to go for your doctorate at Harvard because you said in a mail that homosexuality is not biology, that it's a choice to go against the will of God.
Yes.
Do you still believe that?
Yeah, okay. Yes, I do. I believe that, look, and this is controversial, but this is what I believe. I believe that, you see, I believe in coherence. If you believe that A equals to B and B equals to C, you ought to believe that A equals to C. That's coherence, okay? So I don't begrudge people who don't believe in God. I don't begrudge anybody who does not believe that God created the world. So like Catholics will argue natural law. I believe that it's not nature, it's God. So my sense is that God created us humans, male and female. But this is where I disagree. I think that, and people have acknowledged that radical choice means we can choose to do anything we like. We can choose to, people can choose to, if we consider people the right to choose, then there are choice. But if you say it's biology, it's debatable because it's science. So let's see how biology. So my debate, I've read widely and seen it, it's about choice. Of course, there are behaviors or dispositions people feel, and they indulge those disposition, and they construct. By the way, the science told us from David Hume, who says you can't develop ought from ease. That means you can't develop moral obligation from a natural phenomenon. So assuming I feel like physically do X, that does not justify a moral construct. So when I say I believe that is choice, it's not biology, I'm not saying people have no right to claim otherwise. I'm saying that for me, it's a choice you make, and people are entitled to their choice. But what it becomes now problematic is we want to construct the sociology of lawmaking. For example, the US is debating around whether to destroy the Supreme Court norm that says that legitimizes gay marriage, for example. And what's the argument on both sides? Well, the argument on the other side is that it's discriminatory if people have access to people say, okay, it should be union, union.
Civil union.
Decide. Yeah, civil union. So you guys can choose your room, say a husband and wife, but the state is not obligated to confer legitimacy, legal. So how do I solve that problem? Okay, as a sociology of law, laws are a product of sociological development. People say, okay, this is no longer crime, this is crime. There are times when not believing in God is a crime, they'll kill you. But so it's not. So society can say that we concede to people who say they are gay couples formal status of marriage, because marriage is a social creation. When you go to marry and they give you a certificate, there are some marriages that the law will not recognize, okay? That's legitimization. So that debate, you can have it. But from a belief, a theological perspective, a Christian who believes the way I believe would believe that it violates divine injunction. Another person can consult a new theology, the evangelical, the US, what they call the US, all those Presbyterian, those who are at KKD school, whatever, Lutherans and Trinitarians, to have a different theology, to say, no, this is actually legitimate based on theological. But what I didn't like was the idea that you have to force people to accept a particular viewpoint, because not expressing the other viewpoint means they're going to be. And my good friend, I had a lesbian friend then from India, South Africa. His father was the constitutional court. And she disagreed with me. We are friends. But I said, look, this is what I believe. It doesn't lead to, again, this is the problem. People equivocate equivalent between disagreeing on theological issue about normativity with discrimination. It doesn't follow. I can disagree. Just like I can tell you that drinking alcohol or smoking cigar is sin. Many Pentecostals probably think that if you are drinking a beer or smoking, you are committing sin. But if they now say, I can't associate with you because you are smoking, or exclude you from what you title to, then that's discriminatory. But if they hold a view that alcohol is sin, it might be wrong, totally wrong. I don't think so. But that's the point I wanted to emphasize in Harvard, that real scholarship should concede that people can take really radical views about things. But what matters is, does that lead to discrimination? So for marriage, for example, I would say it's for society to decide, what they want to confer marriage on. For example, polygamy is valid in Africa, but in the US with the Mormons at the point, it was an issue. Is that also? Social rules prohibited it, but people will strongly feel, some people still feel that maybe polygamy is right, is proper, but the law has to be sociologically constructed. It's not for me to say the law cannot concede to you these rights. That's a debate. And that's why I agree with those who say that those rights should be for us to democratically establish. But the idea that somebody says this is right and wrong for them, based on theological or philosophical or even atheistic proposition, should be a right people should have. And for me, as a Christian, to be coherent, I have to affirm that God created us male and female, and that the natural order God laid for us is X, and not doing that transgress God's law. But we transgress God's law every day. We do things that we know we ought not to do, or we don't even know we ought not to do. So that's not for me a big deal. But it happened. And interestingly, Harvard is also a third place. My guy told me, my mentor, said, Sam, you have had your chance. I hope. But I got the scholarship, I got the PhD program, and till tomorrow, I'm still grateful to Harvard. That shows that maybe then, I don't know about today, the scope of toleration was big enough to accommodate people like us.
Wow, thank you. Then, we eventually moved to the extreme where you could have been cancelled, but now we are back to where it's okay, to say whatever you want to say, I think. Yeah. All right, so we have a lot of people who want to interact with our guest, Dr. Sam Amadi. We give you a chance to ask the best of your questions. He's, we didn't agree for him to stay this long, but he's here and we will get to you. But please make it very quick so that we can get everybody. Let me start with you, Chim. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rudolf, for having me, and congratulations on being able to bring Dr. Amadi to the show. Dr. Amadi, it's a pleasure to make your acquaintance virtually.
Thank you.
I've followed your works and listened to you over time, especially on Arise. But today, I don't know if my topic exactly fits into what the conversation was today, so please indulge me. I have asked this question severally, so I will ask it again. It has to do with Peter Obi, the presidential candidate of the last presidential candidate of the Labour Party. So my question is, do you think you can exonerate him from the current post-election collapse of the Labour Party? And my question is coming from the angle of he had a lot of goodwill, momentum, and a lot of what I would call political capital, even though it did not translate eventually into political office in terms of being the president. But you cannot deny that he had a lot of goodwill and capital given to him. I've always been of the view that he should have exploited that capital. Yes, I'm not saying he should have come into the party and dominate everybody and do the a la carte. Some other person believes power is a la carte. But I believe by using the apparatus of that party to rein in members of his political party, especially those in the legislative houses, either both at the state and federal level, it would have kind of created a momentum for the opposition and Labour Party. But he lost it because he started playing. Nigeria's politics is not at the place where you want to play by 100% the rules. I get what he's trying to do, but he lost the momentum. So can you exactly exonerate him from the collapse that has happened because of the way he wanted to play politics of what I would call peace and I'm not sure I have the exact words right now, but I know you know what I'm saying.
Yes, maybe Rudolf, can we take like 2 or 3?
Okay, yeah. Show, go next. We can't hear you, Show.
Sorry, beg your pardon. Good evening, Rudolf, and good evening, Dr. Sam Amadi. Nice to chat to you. My question is regarding the position of the law in Nigeria. So we've seen, a spate of defection. I know that our laws don't expressly say anything on governors defecting, riding on the platform of political party A, and when they get to office to move to B, as opposed to what the law expressly says on state lawmakers, for example, that if they defect, they lose their seats. So knowing that, an example of the governor of Bayelsa State, who's now left PDP, but hasn't joined any political party. Of course, his destination, your guess is as good as mine, where he's likely going to go. But what does our law say on a situation like that, which we haven't seen many of? Because right now, he doesn't have a political party. So what does our law say about you just not having a political party? Right? Yes, he might go where we think he might go, but right now is not anywhere. And secondly, I know that our laws does not say anything at all about governors defecting. Your personal view on this, what would you recommend if you were to recommend, with regards to governor getting in on party A and jumping to party B? And the last thing, out of all the books behind you, if you're left with one, the option to choose one, and that's the only one you would have, no other book, which one would it be?
Wow.
All right. Thank you, Sho. Let's get the last one from KJ and then he will answer. KJ, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Rudolph. Thank you, Dr. Sam Amadi. I have followed your politics for a long time, long even before you got into Electricity Regulation Commission. And I appreciate you. I want to say, if you permit me, some very bold statement. Please go ahead and begin to prepare yourself. I see you in that house. Prepare your program. Don't be like, let's not become like our professor who has got into the office and is not doing anything. I know that you're going to bring a lot of development to Imo State. So I will say to you, please, sir, begin to prepare. And the youths, I can also make that bold statement to say that the youths, especially people from the Southeast, they love you. We all love you. I don't know any young man who you discuss Sam Amadi with who will say, I don't like him. Maybe some of your views may not, cut through, but everybody loves what you bring to the table. And I want to boldly say, these are the kind of leaders we are looking for. If a lot of you can come to the fore, then we'll have less, charlatans who call themselves leaders of the East, who are neither leading nor even showing the way to go forward. Having said that, I also looked up the population of Imo State. The youth have about 70%. I mean, going by the figure that they said, Imo State has about 5 million and above. So the youth constitute about 3 million. Now, if that be the case, looking at what a majority of the Easterners, young people, go along with what Nnamdi Kanu believes. If that also be the case, now I want to ask, there's what you lawyers call double jeopardy. In the case that there are many other rulings that have been in favor of Nnamdi Kanu that the federal government has refused to follow, is it still right to continue to prosecute him even though you know that you are laying nothing upon nothing? He was smuggled into the country. The country of origin where he was smuggled for have said we have no hand in it. The international police, Interpol, have said we didn't participate in it. And yet, this individual, for the last 5 years, has continuously to be dragged through the process. What do you think should be his action or the action of the Indigo as of now? Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for coming too.
Thank you so much. I think I can go ahead now. Answer this.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, maybe I'll start with the last. Yes, thank you for the compliments, and hopefully, like I said, we'll take our best steps forward, because the crisis we're in requires that the good ones also fight hard as the bad ones to get it. So we need to fight hard for our people, because otherwise, like I said, we have come to a point of cynicism. They don't even care. They don't even care. So expecting them to change will be almost impossible. So I take your advice. Now, to the Nnamdi Kanu issue, and that was a point I tried to make in my video, that the whole way the trial has gone has made the trial injurious, violative. 3-4 years. If you look at even 3 terrorist trials, okay, let's take the one of even Simon Ekpa in Finland. With all the video evidence, it's open and closed. After some time, maybe they convict him, they don't convict him. But this has dragged. And others, the way he was renditioned in the judgments from different courts, the lack of transparency. I had issue with the federal court, but I was with Justice Binta herself. And she told me then that, this case, she expressed something like, this case shouldn't have been here. I don't know what to do about this case. So when I tweeted it and I had issue with the federal court, people they called me. But I said, look, this is not like official. This is conversation. And the idea I'm trying to suggest that this is more political than legal. In fact, many lawyers have argued it would be very difficult to convict on those charges, because as criminal charges, there are no nexus directly between
what he did or didn't do, an outcome, particular outcome, except you want to try somebody on belonging to a terrorist organization generally, or just say, but you need to show nexus between, So I agree with you that the case has now become unjustifiable in many ways. And by the way, you could grant him bail. Most of those cases are bailable. Grant him bail. It's not a flight, restrict his maybe international move. Showore was granted bail and his passport was taken away until a long time. He couldn't travel out to see his family. So that issue is, let's see how tomorrow goes. And we'll see. My sense is that maybe the politics might reverse, but Tinubu politically will be more inclined to release him maybe closer to the election. But it might reverse if there's a pushback. Tinubu is hungry for northern votes. So if there's a serious pushback from that side, it might be a case of two political dynamisms, one for, one against. And Tinubu's actions have been mostly political than, principled in terms of responding to this. So let's see how it goes. The issue around, it's interesting the point you raised about the governor. Nobody has envisioned governor being partyless, what it means. And if you go by the Supreme Court and the Constitution that says votes belong to party and only party sponsor candidates, it now raises an important issue. When the governor has not yet declared for us, resigned from a party as no party, is he still validly in that office? Because all political offices are party offices. Again, the question around why the Constitution is silent on governor, I would assume that, and rightly too, they asked me this question yesterday in News Central, and I made a point that I don't think people should lose their seats really because they decamp necessarily. No, it has become an epidemic in Nigeria, but elsewhere people decamp rarely, and they decamp for good reason. They decamp because they have changed their view. Maybe a Democrat, and now you no longer associate with Democrats. You move to a Republican. You don't necessarily have to lose their position in the US. So in Nigeria, until now, we didn't have this epidemic of people decamping for flimsy basis. So, but imagine if a party has a strong view, policy, and then the people of that community, let's assume middle belt Christians now, who are crying for genocide, and the party comes and says, our policy is to do damages, pay compensation, and redress all the violations that has occurred in the middle belt. And they win the election. And the people elected those people because they're going to do that, what the party said they would do. And the people now change their view. And the governor who is elected to do that decides to
Okay, so we will hang in here until he comes back, and then we will continue this questioning.
So I suggest you change your shirt. Your shirt is part of what is this.
Are you talking to me?
Yes, now we're trying to tell you this is your black shirt and his black screen.
Doctor, this pattern we choose to answer our question is politically driven.
What do you mean?
Jim, I sent you a request. Jim. Mazi, I sent you a request, Jim. And Tony too.
Oh, okay. I thought it was the other Mazi. Okay, so it was you. Okay,
Mazi,
don't worry. I'll respond. Don't worry.
Tony, you too, yeah?
All
right.
Is he back?
Yeah,
No,
Am I back?
Yeah.
I'm back.
Yeah.
Dr. Amadi, you live in Band A, I want to believe.
Don't be lying to the customer. I call you.
Okay.
I'm on gen. This is generator.
Okay.
Cease. There's a collapse. I don't get power. When I stopped before, the fuel finished. I had to go and put. That's what I put. My staff, nobody's here. Okay. So I think that left to me, there could be instances where people genuinely decamp for the interest of their constituents. So we should factor that. But it has become maybe because it's now virulent phenomenon, people are saying, make it a law. If it can't leave, maybe because of the extreme nature of this, what's going on now. But for me, I would like politics to be not over-regulated, because there could be good reasons why people can change political party, because the change of ideology, because of maybe their people, their constituents have moved, and then they need to align. So that's the point. Again, the big issue around is Peter's failure or alleged failure. Yeah, today I spoke with one of the leaders of the diaspora. I heard that there's some crisis, and I'm trying to reconcile people. But let me put it this way: I told a couple of intellectuals who had a meeting, and they went about Peter. I said, take Peter to be that we'll go and organize a coup. Yeah? And when we succeed in that coup, we'll go and appoint somebody to come and lead the government. Peter's strength is also part of his weakness. He is a minimalist. Look at the way he has been running his campaign. He's everywhere. The government is worried because they can't pin him down and strike him. He sneaks into Commonwealth office. He does a 30 minutes take-up picture. Before it is in Boston with Rudolf, meeting with the CCT government. Before the night, he don't land Washington with somebody at the Congress. So his nature, his minimalism, is also asymmetrical. And that's why it's maybe the way Tinubu is running Nigeria, the only person who can fight Tinubu is Peter, who is not laborious, no structure to smash. So they keep transforming, changing color, moving snake, become lizard, lizard to butterfly, butterfly to grasshopper. So, but it has its own consequence. I know Peter well. We talk, he calls me, come and see me in the office occasionally. He's not somebody who has the burden of organizing institutions and structure like party. And that's probably where people around him has not helped him a lot. He does not, three things. When I spoke at his book launch, I said his own type of selfishness is probably what we need in government, because he helps to make the right policy, because Nigeria is embedded. We have too many embeddedness. In-laws, friends, relatives, people from your old school, old boys, the network.
Got girlfriends.
Girlfriends.
And now you're
talking. Too much. It's too much. That's so that it doesn't make for clarity in governance. But someone like Peter, who has a way he removes him from all embeddedness, that's why I support him in leadership. Second is that his heart is in the right place. And maybe, but he's also a very fierce guy in terms of leadership. He's not calm. But he is somebody who likes to spend less, not just money, time, energy. So with that kind of thing, there's some problems you cannot solve. Because those problems require you invest a lot. Especially in party formation in Nigeria. Look at all the parties. They have crises everywhere. Somebody will go and collect money. Look at ATC itself. Some people will collect money and go to court for over nothing. And they'll find somebody who will finance that enterprise. So someone like Peter would, in typical mercantilist mode, we think about where he would devote the effort that we need to be holding meeting with Abure and Nnamdi regularly. Is it a good thing? He has his own shortcomings. So I agree with you that somehow his profile and failure in some areas of managing the Nigerian educational system is part of what causes. Again, I can agree that maybe if immediately after election, the obedient, especially the diaspora everywhere, were canonized well and used to drive continuous mobilization. It was only Peter who was mobilizing, who was going to all these places and creating messaging. Today, part of the problem is that the people in charge are they mean well, they're committed, but perhaps commitment and capacity often don't converge. And that's really the way I would put it. Maybe we need more capacity to lead a revolution waiting to happen. and waiting for Peter to lead that in that broad structural way will not work. Peter will do his things and effective in what he does. He, in 2023 election, he's going to drag Tinubu wild. He's going to canvass intensely everywhere. In every second, is go to all the villages canvassing. That's when APC, I think, we need to look for maybe like Cameroon, an effigy that will be going to different places, because I don't see Baba, coping with that level of stress, that level of campaign. And that's probably why they want to make the campaign period very short, because they are very smart. They're looking at other options, So Peter has tremendous advantage, but he also, that advantage comes with shortcomings. That's the way I put it.
Okay.
Sorry, Rudolf. Doctor didn't answer my second question. I said, of all the books behind you,
oh, the books.
If you can only have one for the rest of your life, which one
Let
would
me
it
look
be?
back. I don't forget many of them. So, no, that is almost impossible. But is there a book here that I always will go with? Oh my God! You asked a difficult question, and I answered like the way Jesus answered the mother of John and James. If you are there when I'm taking, if you are there when I'm leaving tonight, I will tell you which one I'll pick.
You can tell Rudolf, and Rudolf can tell us later. It's fine. Think about it and tell Rudolf.
I'll tell Rudolf.
Thank you.
All right. I don't know if you answered KJ's question about Nnamdi Kanu and the people, the young people who were.
Yes. No. Yes. I think I agree with him that.
Sorry, doctor, if you don't mind, the intention was so in plotting your move now, because
exactly.
I see you here.
I want to come to
you. Okay, sir.
Yeah, you are saying that this is a ready-made group to harvest. So you are indirectly advising me to align better. Is that not correct? So I get it. And it's right.
All right.
So don't be surprised to see me in my suit. I'm supposed to be speaking at the Army Resource Center. So don't be surprised to see me tomorrow with my suit and tie at the parade. At the protest.
It's really good.
All right. Thank you, KJ. Thank you, Sho, and thank you, Chim. Let's bring in a new set of 3 people, and that will be Ovie, otherwise known as Babalo. Ovie, you are first. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure when you are in presence of a real doctor.
Thank you,
sir. Dr. Sam, I don't know if you are aware of this, but let me bring into your consciousness that there's a real war going on between the intellectuals governors and the illiterate governors, and by the expression in your face, you know where you belong and where
the illiterates will win. The illiterates go win this war. Go ahead.
See, in fact, Doctor Sam, you know book. So, my question is, on the more serious note, you are the top echelon of the intellectuals in Nigeria. Not just because you're a PhD at Harvard. You're also you were once a professor at the Bells University. You're a visiting professor in the University of Port Harcourt, and it's your intellectual capacity that is driving the Abuja School of Social and Political Thought. So, but by every standard, you are up there. At the same time, you are also at the top echelon of the political animals, so to speak. It's not just because your theoretical way of doing governance, but you also take practical steps to become a governor. So, and I expect that. I say all that to say that you led NEC, Nigerian Electricity Commission, from 2014 to 2017. But you cannot still keep electricity on, not just because you cannot afford it, but why?
Good question. Yes. So second one. No, important question.
All right. Thank you, Ovie. Let's go to Mazi Opara.
Yeah. Good evening, Dr. Rudolf and Dr. Amadi. Dr. Amadi, thank you very much, because I've been following you for a very long time. I want to use this opportunity to thank you for involving yourself in the killing of 20 unarmed Igbo youths in Emene in Enugu State. you and Bishop Godfrey Honor were the only Igbo people that came out boldly and condemned that evil that happened to those young Igbo boys who had no guns, who had no machetes, because they were on a field playing and they were tagged IPOB members and they were murdered. And Dr. Sam, you went even further to Governor of Enugu State then, Uburuburu. In fact, you asked him to start inquest over the killings and he refused. He refused to do that. Thank you very much. You are a son of Igbo land. I thank you for that action you took. In fact, I'm emotional, but thank you very much. You said something about Sharia. Yesterday, I said it here. The Nigerian crisis started with when 12 northern states declared Sharia in Nigeria. That's when this trouble started. Now, doctor, please, do you think that insecurity in Igbo land was not caused by the action of General Buhari when he started killing those young men who had only Biafran flags, who had only Biafran caps, saying, give us Biafra, give us a referendum. And Buhari sent army, sent police, and started mowing them down. Started operation passing dance 1, 2, 3. Even when there was not like ECN. My question is, are you not, what are you going to tell us today? What caused insecurity in Igbo land? Thank you.
Thank you, Mazi Apara. Christian, you're next.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. My own question is to Dr. Amadi as one of the Igbo elite. Igbos in Nigeria, do we have any ideology or purpose of what we want to achieve in Nigeria? Like, this is Igbo's ideology. Like, outside planning now, maybe they have ideology of trying to make Nigeria an Islamic state. What is Igbo's ideology? And my second question is, do you think that Nigeria will ever be good? Is it possible for Nigeria to be good? Looking at combination of Europe, they have their own way of doing things. Outside planning, maybe that tilted towards Sharia or Islamism. Then Igbos, they want to do business, they want to prosper, they want to scale. But these are three different ideologies fighting each other. Do you think that Nigeria will ever be good?
Okay. So,
Yeah.
can I ask, maybe we'll take all because I will soon be going to Arise so that I can.
Oh, okay. All right. So he has to go. And so let's take everybody who is here. So make it quick, your question. Christian, you're next.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Doc. I have a question, but I just want to give you a little bit perspective, and then you answer my question, sir. In 1949, actually, the Nnamdi Azikiwe addressed the Igbo nation. If you use AI-generated voice of Nnamdi Kanu today to read that address, it will seem as if Nnamdi Kanu wrote that. But he seemed to advise Igbo on only one road, that is self-determination. He was distracted by the bigger Nigeria and his chances of becoming the first prime minister of Nigeria, and so he lost out, and he wasn't able to do that. Again, during some Mbakwe time, they had this Ahajioku lecture. And I know one professor, again, the convener of Alibo Foundation, he even came up with, what is it called? Anthem, Igbo anthem, national anthem, and a kind of pathway to Igbo nationalism. So we are now left with warrant governors and leaders who say one thing and then when they are in power, they do another. For instance, Professor Charles Soludo.
Christian, sorry, because he has to go, please, can you?
Okay, my question is this. Is there anything in that constitution in Nigeria today that ban Igbo elites, the so-called Igbo elites, from convening debates on Igbo, the future of Igbo in Nigeria? Is there anything that banned them to do that, and why are they scared from doing so?
Thank you. Sam, we can end it and you answer the question.
Okay, sure.
You are running late because I don't want you to go late to that.
No, I'm running late. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me answer. Let's have insecurity. I totally agree with you. See, my case has been that when the Southeast youths were talking about Fulani herdsmen, the Southeast governors themselves are taking action, like Northern governors did with Amadi Kanu. Maybe we won't get to ECM and won't get to what we have today. So I blame it on the failure of governance that created a vacuum that young people perhaps managed not in the best of ways. So that is classic. And Buhari's, maybe very feudal, archaic way of responding to national security challenge, and in many cases made deliberate attack on Igbo youth worsened insecurity. So in a sense, yes, the kind of insecurity will always be with us in human life, but the kind of insecurity we now started, the non-government and the so-called killings became somehow a product of that period. This is not me saying so. Even Amnesty latest report on Southeast says so. Again, the question around ideology of Igbos. Well, I don't know what I will construct it from Igbo culture, from the Biafran declaration at Uli, at Ahera declaration, and to say it's something like you can call egalitarianism or democratic citizenship. The idea that at heart people should be free to pursue their personal enterprise. The idea that society should be collaborative and cooperative. So, umonna at the smallest level of social organization. So egalitarianism, ethical egalitarianism, is the closest to Igbo ideology. Should that be the Nigerian ideology? Well, maybe not. But the key question is that, look, every nation is a social imagination. You create it from conception. So the Nigerian state, under Chapter 2, comes close to the democratic principle. The Nigerian state ought to be a nation that's based on democratic citizenship, where the focus on citizen, no matter whether it's Igbo, Yoruba, or Hausa, our failure to construct a democratic nationality, where all Nigerian nations, by the way, our US is also a multinational. Every nation is somewhat multinational. Identities can be broken. Even Asia, that seems to be homogeneous, Singapore, the Manchurians are there, the Chinese are political dominant, but not numerical. The same across the country. So I think ideology, we can create a Nigerian ideology. Igbo elites, will Nigeria be good? There's no determinism about good or bad. A country will be the directives of how the people work and dream and work for their country. So Nigeria work. Nigeria can work if our leaders begin to, create a country and treat Nigerians as the same. Why should a Nigerian who lived 100 years in Alibo from the north live 30 years, 40 years, not be like an Igbo person? We are in the multinational countries, and we identify fully and take all the benefits. So I think it's a limitation of vision and incoherence in practice of our leaders has created this problem. Again, Igbo leadership elite, and that's what will be discussed. There's no constitutional law that says they cannot do it. But you see, like there's an Igbo problem in Nigeria. There's also Igbo internal crisis. When I spoke at the Igbo Center of Memory in Enugu, I made 2-3 points. Igbos have 3 challenges. 1, Biafra. 2, Igbo presidency. 3, recovering social capital at Igbo. And I said the most urgent is to recover internal social capital, to rebuild Igbo first before presidency. And I've made a point that if you have 4 Emayopara in Igbo or 5, you get that place reconstructed. Yesterday I spoke at the Southeast Economic Forum, and I said that the good thing that new technology is doing for us is that it's weakening the power of federal governments across the world and helping regions and locals to be stronger if they can be economically strong. It's only America that the president of the country can enforce its will in other places. For now, America is maybe the only world sovereign that can send dangerous bombs and force you to concede. Every other country is constrained by technology, by new technology, and by the way the global economy is evolving. It's an opportunity for regional wealth creation. So Nigeria cannot constrain us too long. So an Igbo governors, if they want to do the right thing for their people, the federal government has not got that overwhelming power to constrain them. So the fault is ours. And I would say that it's not a challenge for all of us. If we go down and elect leaders, local political dynamics, who would be responsible? Look at the little bit that Oti is doing. Assuming in 2007, Oti has 3-4 new brethren, and they all mass together in a party and pool the resources of the zone. Do you think they can be stopped by INEC or stopped by federal government from Lagos or from Abuja? No. So I think this is a challenge for us to go back home and create that change that we need. We need to ensure governors, societies that have the best social capital in terms of cooperative, structure of elite consensus will triumph in this new economy and new world. You see an example in Asia, in the Scandinavia. The moment you solve your collective action problem locally, then you have a greater capacity for the Igbo crisis that the Igbos perhaps in disarray. And the challenge is to array that disarray through good governance. Thank you so much. I think I have to run now.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Amadi. We really appreciate your time. And hopefully when we call you back again, you will...
My question was not answered.
That's okay.
Which one? Quickly.
I said, why we don't get live?
Oh, yes. Let me serve it. Yes. It looks at our abdication. That's important. The answer is very simple. I was a regulator, and I think the consensus that we did very well. But you see, that's why I want to be a governor. I remember in many cases I would tell the president, Jonathan, some things, and the minister would say different things. For example, if I was there, I wouldn't have privatized. I argued about it. Don't privatize now. Look at the history. Create commerciality. Create regulatory standard. Then gradually look at Egypt. Egypt had to get 10,000 megawatts. It's now they are planning to think about privatizing. South Africa. So I had a piece of the action, which we think we did well. Looking back, I said that this will not work. But it wasn't my call. My job, until today, the Nigerian electricity market boasts the most sophisticated. In fact, the World Bank rated us #1 in terms of transparency. That's why have you heard in Nigeria, NEC, about NEC corruption or issues? No. NEC is like an island. But the problem is that NEC does not generate power. So you can have this fanciful, and that's what I was telling Nadia and telling Enugu, don't be like us. Don't go and build fanciful regulatory regime without power. Focus on transaction, get power with even second-rate regulation. Then when you have power, you can move to first-rate. We moved to first-rate regulation, and we didn't have power to regulate. So we're regulating a 3,000 megawatts market with sophisticated regulations.
Is that deliberate or incompetency?
It's incompetent of the federal government. I'm saying I don't have any control over generation or distribution. I don't have control over investment in the network. In fact, they called a meeting, Partnership called a meeting that I should be removed. Why? That Amadi is opposed to privatization. So I was even a problem. Jonathan said, no, let's have one man who is sane. If not Jonathan, then I've removed me. Because I said we are going to fail. I'm sorry to say that I was right. We failed. Not because of me, but because they did not think about, they were carried away by private sector. No. Look at Asia. Government has to be the one supervising. You can't see the problem. And let me say it quickly. You can't outsource government. You have to fix governance. Even if you privatize, do everything, private sector, and government is not fixed, you will fail. So the first reform is government. Then government can manage private sector better. But if you bring the best private sector, Rolls-Royce, Elon Musk companies, and you have a terrible government, it will fail.
Thank
All
you.
right. That's a good end. Thank you so much, Dr. Sam Amadi. We appreciate you, and we'll call you back very soon to continue this conversation. I thank
Thank you.
everybody. We will take a break. When we come back, we will review what happened, and I'll hear from those who couldn't get a chance to ask questions.
Okudilio, 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 nyekelanio. Olisa malugo koyene menedua. Okudilio, 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 nyekelanio. Chukuna malugo yobiadio cha. Agaranya chogo kowe bili, agaranya chogo kowe rienio. Owe chuku bezie chuku. Nuche chukwa busigi fegemeo, nuche chukwa busia ifegemeo. Ni fosolo ne asi alibazie. Oboye bebe agaranya muliba, oboye wuru agaranya mebi vesolia, mano agaranya mua, oboye afiozi elipakwa. Agaranya chogo kowe bili, agaranya chogo kowe rienio. Owe chikubezi olisa. Kodili ma, kodili bemo, kodili wakema, kodili manima. Naino kwane we beluge beluo. Kodili ma, kodili bemo, kodili kemo, kodili heyo. Ibedwe me wane, nikadiezi bohimo.
All right, welcome back. KJ, are you the only one here? Okay, welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. And let's see, there were people who didn't get a chance to ask questions. I'm sorry, it happens sometimes. All right, Oti, I'm sorry, but what were you thinking? What did you feel about it? We are supposed to have the show that KJ will host. I just want to hear from.
Yes, hi, hello, everyone. I would have asked Dr. Sam, because as the director of Abuja School of Social and Political Thought, I would have loved to find out if the school, if they're having a kind of research project on say, for example, political economy. Are we, I mean, Nigeria, our economic system, the kind of the Western style corporate capitalism, is that the only option for us? Or can they be imaginative enough and think at something that is more suitable to our, maybe our environment? Maybe Africa, some public capitalism, African socialism, anything, that is not kind of wedded into the neoliberal, the Western style economic system. So I mean, are they doing such work? That would have been my question. So I mean, I have another one.
That's a very good one. We'll bring him back. I know he will come back very soon. I'm planning series of debates, and he's one of the candidates that we're going to have. We try to match intellectuals from different perspectives to come together and we have real spirited debates instead of just having one-on-one conversation with some of these people. Thank you. Oti. Annie Elechukwu, welcome.
Thank you, everybody. Rudolf now.
I did.
Yeah. Everybody that is on the panel, I appreciate you all for the time. And it's impressive. Dr. Madi has agreed to this program, this comment today.
We can't hear you very well, Annie Elechukwu. Do you have a mic on or something?
I'm not using the mic. Can you hear me?
Okay, now it's better. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I was saying that it's impressive all that Dr. Madi has said in this. And these are the kind of, eggheads we really need, the sane heads we need to really put Nigeria in the right place in all the states. Now, Oti is one. I pray that he comes up in Imo, which incidentally happened to be my state. These are the kind of people we really need in governance. Then we can navigate the rest of it and put things in the right perspective. One thing I would have loved to ask him is, does he really know as well that he is a house slave? Like every woman who is not in detention like Nnamdi. All of us are in Nigeria as house slaves. It doesn't matter our position. Rudolph, you're a house slave. Uti, you're a house slave. I'm a house slave when it comes to Nigerian matters. Nnamdi Kanu is a field slave. That's why he's in prison. So these are realities we all need to understand, that this is the situation. Most of the things that happen is happening, like he rightly captured it out. When even Shoro said it, and I agree with him, and in as much as I don't agree with most of the things he do, but there are certain things he does that I agree, like the demonstration tomorrow, the protest tomorrow. If I am there, I will march with him. So as all Nigerians, what we should all be out for is who is doing the right thing, be part of what is the right, because at the end of the day, it is to build a nation and to build our country. And if he's still here, I would have asked him, he knows that, to rescue Nigeria, to be honest with you, I believe that every Nigerian, like he pointed out to me, should use P2B as a tool, because he has the nationwide good political goodwill to lead Nigeria and put Nigeria on a same level. 4 years, he should get out. All Nigeria needs is to be on a good trajectory. And P2B could do that. So, in my opinion, if he is still here, I would tell him, tell PDP to use P2B and tell P2B to use PDP. P2B should use PDP as a tool to get to Aso Rock, and PDP should use P2B to get back to Aso Rock. Perhaps they will be able to salvage Nigeria using PDP, because the worst politicians, PDP politicians, have left PDP. So it's time for them to rebuild PDP, because it's the only political party now that has seemingly established structure to rebuild itself, not ADC and not Labour Party. So if they really want to get Nigeria organized now, the best thing is let them use themselves as tools. P2B as tool, PDP as tool. Let Nigerians use Peter and PDP as tools to get back Nigeria on the right trajectory. I think I'll leave it for the next, participant to, take it off from there. But these are things I feel strongly about. The protest should go tomorrow, but they should not be violent.
So right. You think there's a room for anybody to get into PDP with Wike?
No, listen. Wike is an individual. If the owners of PDP wakes up to tie Wike, they will tie him. It's just that they've not developed the will to do. What will Wike do? He's only one individual. It's a shameful thing. It's a shameful thing that Saraki is there. Past governors of PDP are there. Pius Hanim is there. And other politicians who are PDP members are there. Bala Mohammed is there. There's no way. Wike is being overindulged. He doesn't have the powers where it is the press that will get so much power to him. He doesn't have it. He's only one individual. He only has one vote. It's just the thing. See, Wike is there's over exaggeration about his capacity and what he can do. He doesn't own PDP and cannot own PDP. If the other owners of PDP says no, enough is enough. I expect that somebody like Obasanjo, for example, somebody like Jonathan, for example, Bode George, for example, should stand up and tell PDP, listen, you need to save your country. And what you need to do is, whichever way it means, get people to be into one to save your party. Right now, it's only APC that has all the structure and all the powers. But somebody else can do something like P2B brought Labour Party from obscurity. So if he did that, that goodwill is still there for him. That political goodwill is still there for him, for PDP to use it. That's why I said that the PDP should use P2B as a tool to get back to Aso Rock. And P2B should use PDP as a tool to get back to Aso Rock. It's as simple as that. Use me, I use you. What is important at the end of the day is for Nigeria to be the winner and come out of this stronger. What we need is to save this country. That's all that's important right now. Then somebody else can take up from there. Like Dr. Amadi rightly said, that's the right way to go.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
KJ, before you go to start your show, we are rounding up, and I just want to know what your final thoughts are.
Okay. My final thoughts is that I like Dr. Sam Amadi. I followed him for long. And I think if people like him can come forward more, we will have a better Eastern Nigeria. And he has buttressed some of those points which I have discussed on this issue, on this program many times. You are loved by every other person in Nigeria once you are not talking about the injustice in Igbo land. The North will love you, the West will love you. In fact, to them, you are the best Igbo man they've known. But the moment you begin to say, oh, there's an injustice against the Igbos, then you become a tribal bigot. You become a soothsayer. You become a naysayer. You become a propagandist. You become a fake journalist. Every name they can pick, they will call you. And in the past, we were not, averse to this. In fact, we are shying away from it. Because when they throw that to you as a religious bigot, you run away. You will begin to now shy away from discussing it. And I'm happy, and I say it. I'm going to keep asking the question. Every moment that I have, I will present the case of the Igbos. That does not make me not to present the case of the T people. I've presented Benue case here many times. Majority of the documentaries I've done on injustice in Nigeria and the buying of people in Nigeria has been about the North. I didn't even do anything in the East at all. It has been always in the North. So if we can lay our life down, travel to Agatu when the insecurity was very high, go to Dogonahawa after the massacre of 500 people, and do those stories, why then do you want me not to talk about injustice going on in my community that I know? So we will keep saying that. And then finally, there are many players in the Southeast, and that's one of the things I want him to also put into perspective when he's discussing. One of such persons is the Asari Dokubo factor, for which he sat in Aso Rock and said he had been fighting in the East. His men are fighting along the soldiers, the Nigerian armed forces. The question you ask yourself will be, is there a war going on in the Southeast? If there's no war going on in the Southeast, how come his men are fighting in the Southeast? See, these things are not brought to the fore. And so sometimes when you talk about it, it looks as if you are parling to your people. No, it's not. That's the truth on the ground. And I'm happy that somebody has come all the way from another country to come and now show us that our lineage, go to the public and watch our lineages, because now nobody can say the man was biased towards the middle belt or any other section of Nigeria. He reported what he saw. And then, so when we want to lie to ourselves, let's not go bring foreigners. Let's continue to do it within our circle. Call our Nigerian people to lie the lie and then back it up. But you go to bring other people, they will disgrace us. And I'm happy for Sam Mbah, and I'm ready to go out to team with him when he's ready to take Imo State, so that people with good head can now come to the place. There's an adage that says 2 good head is better than 1. It's only when the head is 2 and they are good. You can have many good heads together and they're not good and they cannot come up with anything, which is the case that have been going on in the part of the East in Nigeria. Thank you so much.
Thank you, KJ. We have about less than 10 minutes before we hand it over to KJ at the other stream. But let me hear from Chim. Ove, you come next. Chim, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Rudolph. As usual, I didn't expect anything less from him. The only, I think I agree with him when it comes to electricity issues, especially what he said. I don't know who's your electric provider in New York, but I'm sure it's not a private. If it's not, there's a way government has a hand in it. Your municipal government or your state government has a bit of hand in some of those things. Where I live, it's not a private system. The government controls it, sort of, but they liberalize and have other options. So you have the government one, then you have other private organizations also provide, but the mainstream of the thing belongs to government. So everybody latches in back onto the government infrastructure for it. So when it comes to the electricity one, I agree with him. And I was just going to tease him to say he was showing Nigeria in a bad light today. I hope they don't come after him. Every time light will go off, they will soon say he was trying to blackmail the Nigerian system because he kept going off and coming in, going off and coming in and all that. But all in all, I think it was a fantastic outing we had with him. So I don't have too much to contribute when it comes to that.
All right, thank you. Okay.
Yes, I mean, if there's one thing that has been proven today, Doctor, that you two cannot disagree with that, is that smoking Igbo is equivalent to an Amadi degree, PhD. Without going back and forth, the guy agreed that we needed more of Opawelo governors than the Soludos in Nigeria. So you see why they're always aggravated when I see, not by excellence intellectuals. They follow me, they shout. Where solidify Doctor just from the word go, he just say, yes, you got it.
He said they will win, not that we need them.
Isn't that what life is about?
No, it's not the same thing.
It's not the same thing?
Yeah, that you are going to win does not mean we need you.
What is success?
Trump won. It doesn't mean that America needs Trump.
It doesn't matter about America. It's about he won. That's your thing. And say success is the progressive realization of a worthy idea. If his goal is to become governor and he achieved it, my mama say, if you are not acknowledging winners, that's an act of witchcraft. It's just it's practical. It's 1 + 1 2. No matter how during the election of 2023, when they did the obedience, no matter how brilliant your policies are, if you no win, not trash. Nobody cares. Once you no win, you don't turn toilet paper. So it's very important, no matter how you want to see. There's a reason why those who designed the system put it in a competitive form. And that against also, but that's our reality for today. So no matter how you educated or whatever you are, if you cannot win, the people loses. That is the bigger picture. So you can speak all the grammar you want, you can do whatever. Once you cannot practicalize this, the general people loses, which was the argument we are arguing about democracy yesterday. The definition of democracy. What is democracy? Everybody says, no, democracy is any governing system that benefits the majority. That's democracy, because that's what it's about. The majority feeling the effect of that governance. Once the people is taken out of the concept, then doesn't forget the grammar where they use the put them. It's all to deceive the majority so that the few keep having their way. And anytime they see people like us when we speak English, able to cheat the system that was deliberately built to keep the majority out, they just can't help it. They will lose it. How did he do it? You're supposed to pass this WAEC. You're supposed to speak like this before you qualify like this. They just lose it. They forget the majority who can relate to the system at all. Just because we are educated. No. It's against us. That is what Carter would say about the miseducation of the Negroes. Once you control a man's thinking, don't worry about his action. He just, even if there is no road, he or she will find a way to put road, because that is how he or she was being programmed. And it's unfortunate. That is our reality. Now, few of us qualified to be brilliant, educated. And for that reason, we join the rhetoric of the few to annihilate those people. I can't tell us about 990 million register. Less than 40 million participate. The intellectual could not figure it out. Why? But most importantly, why are the other 100-something million people not present in the system? They will never go that far. No. Instead, they blame them. Time don't reach now. If you don't vote for this, we'll not go send money for you. We'll not go this. Go to hell. What cares?
Ovie, thank you.
There's the reality that is facing the average illiterate and poor person today in Nigeria, that enough is enough. Now only gold in the year now. Another thing that is coming for the past 15 years, they don't kill parents. Nobody's asking where are their kids.
Right.
They are coming to ask for their parents one day.
Okay, thank you. We have no time left. About 3 minutes. Let me just I said that next Sunday we are going to have Hawa Ibrahim. She's a professor at Harvard, Wesley, and one other university in the Northeast. She will join us. We initially scheduled her to be here to come on the 22nd of September, but something happened. She had to cancel. So she's coming back. She's going to come here on Sunday to be with us. Hawa Ibrahim, a lawyer from Harvard University. All right. Who did I miss? Oti spoke. Yeah. Let me hear from Chris, and then I'll come to you, Oti. Just Chris. Right, okay. Christian, go ahead. Christian, you're muted. You unmute yourself, please.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, I listened to him very well. He talked very well, but I disagree with him on one issue, and this has been the big problem with the Igbo elites thinking of building a big Nigeria. Nigeria will work. He justified Nigeria will work by saying America is a multi-ethnic. And we're not realizing there's a difference between multi-ethnic and multicultural. I haven't seen any country run on multicultural, and he was saying the problem when he mentioned the problem with Nigeria when he said the introduction of Sharia, which is like putting different laws in one constitution, So Nigeria runs on more than 4 cultural values: the Sharia value, the English value, the Igbo value, the Yoruba value, the Hausa value. All these things makes it difficult to have a constitution that can be that anybody in Nigeria can obey. So they always pick and choose the one they want to use. Apart from that, because I wanted to give him perspective, but I didn't have the time, and he hasn't got the time. Because one of the things we have lacked in Igbo land is when Professor Charles Soludo presented a book written by Ofodile, he demanded for debate, but he has been in office for 4 years, and he hasn't actually, how will I put it? He hasn't called for one. He hasn't organized one. So that's why I asked him if there is something in that constitution that basically prevents Igbo people from organizing debates, because why Nnamdi Kanu is in detention today is because he is calling for debate. You have to have debate to have referendum.
All right.
So that's my take on it.
Thank you, Christian.
Oti. Right. Actually, yes, I do agree with Christian. You see, because listening to Dr. Sam, I think one gets the impression that he's not agitated by the constitutional framework, the structure of Nigeria. So this kind of the acceptance that Nigeria, the way it is set up, constituted, is kind of a given. We should not question that, and believing in the development of if like a Nigerian citizen. I don't know how long will this hope, this task, how long will it take before we get there? We've been so that is from the answers he's given to the questions he's been, it was asked. I think it doesn't seem to have any kind of concern about that. I'm inclined towards a kind of well, if like call it provincial, regional, that kind of corresponds to the various ethnic groups and nations. So that I think that's our development really has to start from there. This thing, Nigeria. Now you have a country that it have no way of determining or controlling the population, the people that cross the border. I just, I mean, how does that work? Another border, for example, that people from other countries could just come in and then intermingle. So you don't even know who are your citizens. So how can you have a country that way? Have a constitutional, provisions or protections for people that you don't even know where they're coming from. So this is such an elementary thing. I believe there has to be a restructuring. That is the same talk. It's not. We keep on going back to it. So this discussion Christian is talking about has to take place. This debate. We have to decide how we move forward. We can't just accept that is a law of nature, the way the map that's been drawn for us.
All right, so, Oti, we have to go. Thank you so much. Right. And I want to thank, because there's a new stream starting now. I want to thank everybody that joined us, who watched at home, those who sent comments, questions, and those who were part of the panel. And on behalf of all my team, the people behind the scene, and my executive director, who some of you saw today, I thank all of you. I want to thank those that supported us on with cash. What is it called again? Those that supported us. Thank you so much, Oriako Tope. Thank you, Oscar Black, Bon. Thank you, Kulata. Thank you, George Bushell. Thank you, Nana. Where is Nana? Yeah, okay. Nana Bash. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you. And next week we are going to have Ibrahim. Hawa Ibrahim from Harvard University. She will be our guest to talk about, because we don't have women come here very often. So when we have one, and this is top lawyer, highly educated, we will be able to have a wide conversation about the role and the place of women in Africa as a whole. All right. Until next week, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Oti. Thank you, Ovie. Thank you, Christian, and everybody that honored us by joining us today. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you. Have you subscribed? Yes, you. Have you subscribed? You. Yeah, before you go, click. It's free. Click. That's it. Have you subscribed? You are laughing. Have you subscribed? Have you subscribed? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, madam. Thank you so much. I can see you. I can see you. We have to get to 100,000 subscribers. By the end of the year, how are we going to do that if you don't subscribe? Yes, you. Yes, you're about to click off. Why? Have you subscribed? It's free. If you don't, ask your son. Ask your daughter. How to, just one click. Thank you. Thank you. I see you. Aha. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'll see you tomorrow.
I am adore lele, adore lele. Idu kwa samaka onyoma odika powder. Idu kwa samuku onyoma odika fomu. Idu kwa samishi onyoma odika pilo. Oh lo 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 lo, aturu bwebule wakamwa iwariwo. Ice. Rosa Olerio, Rosanna Oleri, Rosanna Olerio adikadimba. Adure Oleri, Adure Olerio, Adure, Aturu bwebule wakamwa iwariwo. Adure, Adure lele, Adure, Adure lele. Idu kwa samaka onyoma odika powder. Idu kwa samuku onyoma odika fomu. Idu kwa samishi onyoma odika pilo. Oh lo 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 lo, aturu bwebule wakamwa iwe.